always do. I just try to keep the show on track.
You know, you've been doing that for me in a number of ways for probably over 20 years. Just trying to make sure that Mike Elam doesn't come in and completely throw things off the track.
That's true.
It's going to be fun today. Did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, I had a really good Christmas so far, although we're not done. My brother's out of town, so we're celebrating a lot of our Christmas still at the end of this week. So this is a weird week for us because it's kind of the in-between Christmas moments for us. But, yeah, it's been great so far.
So you said you're like in the middle, so everybody comes to your house.
For Christmas, my wife's family is all actually still at our house right now. And
we haven't run them away yet.
No, they're doing some shopping, maybe out listening to us actually right now. I don't know.
Hey!
Doing some after Christmas shopping. I actually tried to do that this morning. I went to a couple stores thinking, I'm going to get some deals. I went too early, and a lot of the stores, they hadn't marked everything down yet.
Oh, so they still had the old stuff.
So they still had all the Christmas stuff, but I would go to ring it up, and they're like, I know this is going to be on sale, but we haven't actually put it on sale yet.
So
that's
you
a mistake on my part.
Back after.
I think maybe. Yeah, so, at 3 o'clock, I'm going to head out.
Then I'm going to go
to Dollar General.
Is this like all the old Christmas stuff?
Yeah, it's all the wrapping paper and a lot of the candy. You know, that's what I'm kind of most interested in.
Lord, I do not need any more sweets.
I don't either, but when they're 50% off and it's like the really good Ghirardelli caramel-filled stuff, I'm like, ooh, I didn't get any of that yet.
That stuff will last for years.
Yeah, too.
That's okay.
Yeah, you can still eat that in April.
We had so much sweets that it was like diabetic coma training ground. Like, here we go. Have you ever wanted to be a diabetic? Come to the Elam household because we've got all the sweets you'd ever need to put you and your family in a diabetic coma.
Yeah, and I am a diabetic now, so just so you know, it happened about this time last year.
We had fantastic stuff, but it was like my wife went out to buy, I don't know what this loaf is called. It's basically like you take a cake and you roll it up, and then they put a whole bunch of icing over the top of it. So
is it a Christmas roll?
Yes, it's some sort of roll, but I wasn't sure. But it's like a cake, like it's a log.
Yeah, it's a Christmas log. That's what they call them.
So I have a Christmas log. So it was red velvet cake with the not sour cream, the cream cheese, icing, all rolled up, and then a whole other thing of icing over the top with that. Well, while she had that, then she went and bought, they had these cupcakes, really nice-looking cupcakes, all dressed up, fancy stuff on the top. So they had a special on those. So she bought those, and then we just had, I had a client of mine who gave me this tower of chocolate. I swear it was 10 boxes of all kinds of different chocolate whatever, right? So we had that, and then everybody else brought their other stuff, and Lord, it was a lot.
That's great. Our chat is blowing up yelling Yule log at you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. See, that's the great part about Anti-Frey audience. They're so interactive, and they're very smart, and they know what's going on, and they can answer questions just like that. So my dad is still here. He's going to be with us all week. I posted a picture on Facebook. It's our third Christmas that we have posted this. 4 generations of the Elam men. So we have my dad, me, my son, and my grandson all together. Because Kason was born in November, so it's actually his third Christmas. But that was cool. We had 3 kids, all under 6, running around the house yesterday. And I think my dad at some point's like, time for me to go upstairs and take a nap. I'm going to lay down for a little while. There's a little too much energy in the room for me. But it was great. We had 17 at our house.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was great. We used to put, the kids were at the kitchen table and the adults were at the dining room table. The kids outnumber the adults now. So they've started getting married, have significant others, having kids. So they're kind of taking over. I'm curious if we're going to start doing a split Christmas like you were talking about, because we're getting to that point. Because everybody kind of did. My daughter-in-law's family did Christmas Eve, and then we did Christmas Day, and we kind of moved through like that. And then they all left and went to their families for the evening.
So in both sides of my wife and my family right now, our kids are the only grandkids.
Okay.
So they are very spoiled. They're going to get a ton of presents. They love it. I mean, they relish every moment of it. But I've realized, and I know that we have kind of a shorter segment to open the show.
We do.
Because we got Blaine Luetkemeyer coming up in the next segment, and you guys are going to talk about the U.S. House. I'll probably stick around for that.
That'd be great.
But I realized two things this Christmas season.
What's that?
One is that my kids are now old enough. They're not, my oldest are 9, and my wife and others, they keep talking about this, trying to sort of capture Christmas, where they're trying to experience everything good about the season all at once.
Ooh.
And they almost feel like they're missing it because they're not getting everything right. You know what I mean?
That's a lot.
It's an undue pressure.
Yeah.
Because the sweetness of those moments really comes after the fact when you look back at them.
Yes.
When you're in the middle of them, you can't analyze it, otherwise it ruins it.
You're right.
It's like you can't observe a test while it's happening. You know, it's like you have to step away, and then once it happens, and you go, oh, that was great. Like we had a great Christmas Eve, even with my grandma at my cousin's house. Very brief because my family was here, like I said. So we went over there just real briefly, and it was 2 hours. We had a great time, and in the moment, I didn't want to acknowledge, oh, I'm having a good time right now.
Right.
It was afterwards. I said that was really fun. And I'm realizing that even my 9-year-olds are doing that, like, oh, I want to relish Christmas. It's like they're trying to grab it
Right.
and hold it, and you can't quite do that.
And I appreciate the fact of trying to acknowledge the moment of where you are, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I don't miss it, right? And I think that's probably what they're trying to do. But I think your point is well taken. If you try and do that, you're going to miss it.
Yes.
We ended up, my niece brought a game that they played last night, and it's called blank something. Somebody in your the listener group is going to know, because Anti-Frey listeners, like I said, they know everything. So all you do is you get everybody these little cards.
It's called blank something?
It's called blank something. That's the name of the game.
Oh, that's the real name.
That's
You're not
name.
like forgetting
No,
the name.
That's
okay.
the real name of the game. So it's it has one word that is blank put with another word. So it could be egg blank, and then you have to write down only one word. It can't be a phrase, can only be one word. So if I said egg blank, you would say egg.
Souffle.
Beautiful. Leah would say egg.
Cited.
Sandwich.
Oh.
What?
So I would have said
Cited.
Oh.
excited. Oh, I see.
Ah!
That's why he's here on a holiday week.
Hey, that's why I get paid so much.
I would have said egg roll, right?
Okay.
So if we would have matched, then whoever matched gets points. And there's a whole thing where you keep track of who wins. And it's got these little markers that are erasable markers. And it's got a little eraser on the other end. So they were sitting at the table playing that game yesterday. And it was one of those moments that I walked in on it after it was going on. And then I got to play a little bit later. But I think I enjoyed the watching more than the playing, just because of what you were saying. I got the chance to sit back and see 10 or 12 of just my family members and extended family members all sitting around the table, just having a great time with each other. And they were bonding, and they were talking smack with each other of, that's a stupid answer. Why would you say that? Or why didn't you say this? Then we should have matched. Or, oh my gosh, how can we be married? We never match on anything. So it was just great being in the moment and watching your family be together. And it's one of those kind of things where I've had Christmases where it was just us. Like we couldn't get together with everybody else. And you miss those moments. So it's great when you can get together. And I feel for anybody who had that other Christmas this year where they weren't able to get together and they weren't able to spend that time. But I think you need to have those Christmases to appreciate the other Christmases, right? Because a lot of times if you always have your family with you and you're always together, then you kind of take it for granted and you don't get the chance to really appreciate it. But once you miss it and you get the chance to get it back again, then you really appreciate it in a way that you should have before, but you probably didn't get a chance.
I mean, it's actually a pretty good life lesson. You know, you can't have mountaintop experiences all the time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're on a plateau.
Yeah, you've got to have valley to have mountaintops, right?
Yeah, you got to go through the tough stuff to get to the good stuff. That's the way life is. I'll add that to my lessons list.
Okay.
The first one was don't try to grab Christmas so hard that you lose it.
Right.
The second one is you got to have valleys to have mountains.
You do.
The last one that I learned, and I know we got to wrap here, is that everybody's so focused on microplastics being a problem. But I think that macroplastics are really the problem, because I was just eating some charcuterie in my office before we came in here, and I was cutting through. You don't open a sausage. You just cut right through it.
Yes.
And I think I ate a whole piece of plastic. And I felt something go down, and I thought either that sausage was not right or that was a big piece of the wrapping. So that was my third lesson.
They say, this too shall pass.
That's why you're a host. Great job.
Eventually it'll get there.
Right.
Hey, we've got a lot to do today. So we're gonna have some fun today. We're gonna talk to Matt Pauley later on. He's gonna talk a little bit about sports, because as my dad said, I would come to the station with you today, but I think there's a bowl game on. It's priorities, Dad. I get that. Jim Carafano is going to join us next hour. We're going to talk with John Wiemann a little bit later on as well. But next, we are going to talk with Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer. There is a lot of stuff that's been going on in D.C. I know you probably missed all of it. Blaine will catch us up on the other side. It's the Annie Frey Show. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in today. Thanks for joining us on St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
Stop the rock, can't stop the rock, you can't stop.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Stop the rock, you can't 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 stop.
Your garage door is always there for you, rain or shine. Are you taking your garage door for granted? Is it screeching and whining for attention? Trust Overhead Door Company of St. Louis to keep your garage door reliable. Maybe the old weather stripping needs replaced to keep out the cold and hot air. Call Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, trusted here since 1926. For same-day service, call 314-781-5200 and schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Want immediate cash for your home, or see what your home is really worth in today's market? Find out for free from the local experts, my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. Check out thegelmanteam.com today. That's thegelmanteam.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. If you get a new tablet or cell phone this year, recycle your old one, either by donation or an e-waste program. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jules on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. Jules on Hampton.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save up to 20% on a new HVAC system when you bundle it with attic insulation. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. For a free estimate on attic insulation, visit aircomfortservice.com.
On the Mark Cox Morning Show, we like to start the year right. That's why we're broadcasting live from the Missouri State Capitol Wednesday, January 3rd. It's opening day of the legislative session, and we'll be there. That's Wednesday, January 3rd, starting at 5 a.m.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I can't begin to knowing, but then I know it's growing strong.
Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
wasn't the spring, and spring became
So we're waiting on
the
Blaine
summer.
to join us. Hopefully he will join us here in just a little bit. Although I really didn't mean to kill that song at
Well, Leah could
done.
bring it back
So
at any point if she wants
should-
to.
It's
you
still
know,
going. I can.
I just
There you go.
they had a COVID version of this, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's Don't Touch Me,
Oh, yeah.
I Won't
Don't
touch
Touch
you. You gotta love it. It's COVID Caroline. Don't touch me.
Okay.
You gotta love it. I didn't say it was funny. I was just saying that it was there. So I am texting while we're doing this, just to make sure that we can try and make everything work at the same time. So have you seen all of the stuff that's going on at the border in terms of just the pure migration of people that has been showing up? So I was seeing a thing that said since Wednesday of last week, they have had 53,000 people cross the border. 53,000. So stop and think about this for a second. This just gives you an idea of where I come from. So St. Charles County has been the fastest growing county in the state of Missouri for the last 25 years, right? The last 10 years, we added 60,000 people in a decade, right?
Okay.
According to the census, just over 60,000 over the last 10 years, just in St. Charles County.
That's the fastest growing county in Missouri.
That made us the fastest growing. In 10 years,
I think I see where you're going with this.
we've added almost that in less than a week. So we're averaging almost 10,000 people a day that are coming across the U.S. border right now. And it's one of those kind of things where you start saying, at what point are they going to admit that this is a problem and start doing it? Well, I saw that the U.S. House is talking about they're finally going to look at impeaching Mayorkas. And because Mayorkas keeps telling everybody, no, things at the border are good, like we're secure. How can you say that? How can you possibly, legitimately, honestly look yourself in the mirror and say, no, the border is secure, when you have that many people who's coming across?
Yeah, I think we've really gotten to the point in U.S. politics, and I'm going to say it's because it's not as if politicians on both sides have never done this, but at this point, it really is mostly Democrats doing it, maybe just because they control the White House right now. But you remember old movies, how old movies and TV shows, Westerns and stuff, you always knew who the good guy was and the bad guy.
Right.
And the bad guy would say things like, I hate people and I want to go rob things, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was just so blunt. And then as
Some
art
facsimile thereof, right.
as art has progressed, it's become more nuanced where you're watching like a show like Dexter where you're like, am I watching the protagonist or the antagonist? I don't really know, you know?
Like, is he really a bad guy? I mean, he is killing people.
So-
that would tend to be the bad guy.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of questioning morality within characters, which makes art more interesting.
Right.
But it also is less clear what's good and bad. We've gotten to the point now where we've come so full circle that primarily Democrats will just say out loud, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm just going to go lie now. Like, the nuance is gone. We're back to the old days where they're so blunt about their lies that it doesn't even matter because you know these guys are bad guys.
Yeah.
These are the bad guys. And it's not by party. It really shouldn't be by party. And that's why you see so many Democrats criticizing them on even these issues, is because it's just bad. You're lying. Everybody knows it. You're doing bad things for the country for apparently your own good.
Right.
And everybody can see it. I guess in a sense it's good, but it's bad that they don't recognize that they're the bad guys when they're doing it.
You have the mayor of Chicago who was talking about over the weekend the problem with the illegals that are showing up in Chicago is the governor of Texas.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, you got the problem right.
Right.
You almost got there.
But you're blaming the wrong guy. And I keep watching on Fox, and I think the congressman just joined us. But I keep watching on Fox where they show all these reports coming from the border. And Bill Malugin does an amazing job down there talking with all these guys as they come in. And it's like, hey, you just got here. Where do you want to go? New York, California, Chicago. I'm like, why? Have you been to Chicago? Because somebody needs to let you know. You probably really don't want to go to Chicago. I don't want to go to Chicago. Like, I'm afraid to go to Chicago.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's just that's on your script. That's what you've been told to say. That's what you're going to do. You're going to claim asylum, and then you're going to go to Philadelphia.
It's just crazy when you start looking at all of the things that are going on there. But Congressman Luetkemeyer is joining us now. Congressman, how are you?
I'm well today, Mike. How are you? Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you. It's good to talk to you. I was just, Ryan and I were just talking about all of the crossings that are coming across the border and all of the problems that is spinning off for us. And I know you just had a forum at Mizzou back on, the 18th, where you were talking about what the fentanyl crisis is doing to our country.
Yeah, it's all related. It starts with China that sells the precursors or the ingredients to make fentanyl to the cartels in Mexico. The cartels develop the drug, and then they pack it across the border into this country, and enough was confiscated in June alone to kill everybody in the United States. And so how much got through? I mean, it's phenomenal, the amount of that stuff that's coming through. And it all is based on the fact that we have a border that is not patrol. Well, our border patrol is doing all they can, but there's this tidal wave of immigrants coming across the border, not just from Mexico, but from around the world. I mean, if you look at the news reports, you can see that they're interviewing people there, and they're from all over the place. They're from Africa, they're from China, they're from India, they're from just everywhere in the world, and a lot of them are terrorists. Quite frankly, we picked up between 150 and 175 terrorists this year at the border. How many got through? We don't know, but we do know that there's between 25 and 30 terrorist cells presently in this country. So to have another 911 is on the table because the cells are here to orchestrate it, to carry it out. I'm not sure we know where all of them are, quite frankly, because obviously they've come across the border undetected and continue to either create or enlarge the cells that are here. So you talk about a mess. We've got a mess. And if you've looked at the video on TV, the news reports, you can see that it is truly a tidal wave of people coming across, truly overwhelming the Border Patrol, like 200,000 this month alone, which is like a record.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and you're right. They're going across the country, all different places in the country, overwhelming the services everywhere they go because there are so many of them. Under Joe Biden's watch, we're now, I think, around 8 million new people that have come to this country across this border. Unbelievable.
Well, I was just telling Ryan that, St. Charles County was the fastest growing county in the state of Missouri over the last decade. And that equated to about 60,000 people who moved to St. Charles in the last 10 years. And that's an amazing number of people when you have a county and getting that many people in. But that is a week right now of our border crossing. So somebody was using the expression or using the numbers that had come in, I guess, over the last quarter. You would be creating a new Denver, Colorado population every quarter in the United States if you look at the current flow that we have coming in. And I think that Chairman Mark Green, the Homeland Security Committee chairman, has talked about he's going to try and put the votes together to impeach Mayorkas when you guys get back. Do you think that's a realistic possibility?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he has not done his duty. He has not defended it. He takes an oath to defend the country from foreign and domestic threats. You can't tell me that whenever we have these terrorists that are coming across and are not being caught, that's not a threat to us domestically. You can't tell me that all of the 200,000 people coming across the border in 1 month is not a threat to our country. Yeah, he's very likely to get impeached. Of course, all that is an indictment. He got to send it to the Senate. They hold the trial. Some people think when you impeach him, you automatically kick him out. No, all you do is just kind of like an indictment with a criminal charge where we find there's enough evidence for him to be tried, send him to the Senate, then they have to try him, which because the Democrats control the Senate, he'll get scot-free here. But the bottom line is that some of this will come to light even further. Another way of shining a light on this problem, the governor of Texas now has, and his legislature has basically empowered him by saying that illegals coming into the country now are committing a state crime as well as a federal crime. And so this allows them to be able to exercise some authority over this border. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, the poor Border Patrol, no matter what we do, they are overwhelmed here because they're just no help behind them. They wind up being paper pushers because they've got to process all these people. And I've said for a long time, what we need to do is have the military take a 3-month or a 6-month tour of duty at the border to back the Border Patrol up, so they will not have to spend their time babysitting and doing paperwork, so that they can be freed up to be able to actually patrol the border and do their job. But that's one solution that's on the table that nobody's actually exercised yet, but it is out there. But it's a mess, Mike. It's a mess, and it's not going away as long as this guy is president, because he allows us to continue. He's got his puppet in there with Mayorkas, and we're going to continue to see this for another 12 months for sure.
It's one of those kind of things. We're talking with Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer, Missouri congressman, and just looking at the different policies that the Biden administration keeps coming up with. And you get to a point where you go, he can't do anything more dumb than what we've already done. And then it's like he says, really? Hold my beer. And here comes another one. And you and Senator Schmidt are teaming up on a bill that's going to block funding for this corrupt climate organization that they're putting together. And he's already said, I'm going to put another $3 billion into that. It's one of those kind of things that says, why do you not see what's important to the people of this country? And you keep creating problems or creating solutions to problems that we just don't think are problems.
Well, this is the UN panel on UN United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and this is a group that we fund every year at the UN, and this group has been shown to have very, very little credibility. Their science is poor. It's been questioned by world-renowned climate scientists who say this is not true, what they're saying. The climate's been changing for thousands of years. That's undeniable. That's continued to change today. The problem I have with what's going on and the science that they say is true is that it's man-made, and the science is not there to show that man is creating this problem. There's a lot of other extenuating things, such as the solar flares from the sun that cause it wreaks havoc on our weather. And these guys are not telling you about that. We also have these El Niños in the ocean that wreak havoc on our weather. They won't tell you about that. So the science is very, very questionable, and because of that, I've been trying to defund them for years. I can get in a House bill, but I can't get it through the Senate because of the Democrats over there. But I want to continue to bring it up and highlight the fact that these people are stealing money from us, basically, on the pretense that they can fix the climate, which they can't, and therefore let's find other solutions, other ways to deal with the climate, and find ways that we can improve it and protect it. But when Mother Nature does things. I mean, you have to deal with it. To sit there and blame it on mankind is a way for them to control our economy and to control your everyday activity. And you're paying for all this in many, many ways. And it's not, I think, what needs to be done. I think they're misleading the American public and the world public, for that matter. And you have John Kerry jetting around the world in his jet that causes all sorts of air pollution problems and then blaming on everybody else. That's the typical hypocrisy of this whole movement. And so, again, it's interesting. And then you wind up, I can keep talking about it all day and keep pulling other things into it. Here, your environmental and social justice folks. There's lots of people now that, for a while it was very fashionable to invest in ESG things. Well, now they find out that ESG things don't make any money. And I was sitting down already 2 or 3 years ago, several years ago, in fact, and talking with stockbrokers, investment people, saying, tell me how this works. And they kind of laughed at me and said, well, only about 10% of the ESG companies actually make money. The rest of them all lose money. And most of those companies aren't even ESG companies. They just put it on their website to fool people into thinking that they're ESG compliant and invest in them. All it is a statement on their website when they're not. And so it's a big racket right now that's out there. And finally, I sit on a financial services committee, and I deal with this every day. I've been pounding on the investment companies, the BlackRocks and the Vanguards of the world, as well as the big banks, telling them, you know what, you guys are misleading the American public with the way you're investing money, and you have fiduciary responsibility to tell them that there is not a good rate of return to be expected on ESG investments, as well as the Chinese investments. The risk that they're taking here has got to be disclosed to them. Otherwise, you have fiduciary responsibility you're not living up to and have a huge problem from the standpoint of them being able to come back and sue you for you not telling them what the absolute risk is here. And I've been pounding on this for the last several years, and they're starting to get to the point where they're understanding they've got to disclose this. Even Larry Fink of BlackRock the other day made a statement. He said he's embarrassed by his ESG portfolio. It's not working. This is not something we need to be supporting. If people want it, they can purchase it, but they need to be disclosing it differently and explain to them you don't make money on this. So, again, it's all tied together here. This is a whole big racket, investing, taking people's money, investing in things that don't make money. And so whenever that happens, I wonder who actually makes money off that. Yes.
Congressman Luetkemeyer, this is Ryan Wiggins. I just wanted to ask you before we run out of time here, with so many of these issues, and especially with the border, I would say, we're hearing from prominent Democrats throughout the country, not in the House necessarily, but prominent Democrats, governors, and mayors of cities who are, they're tap dancing a little bit, but they're very critical of the way this border is being handled because of the outcome that they're having to deal with. When you are talking to your colleagues in the House, Republicans seem like they're all on the same page. Democrats, are they publicly saying one thing, but behind the scenes, maybe they're like, yeah, we know this is a problem, or will they not even acknowledge that it's a problem?
Well, you're getting some Democrats from some of the border states, Texas in particular. Those Democrats, they're smart enough to look at the election results from last election when we took a lot of seats there in Texas that have been Democrat seats for a long time based on the election issue. And they see that if they're going to have a political career, they're going to have to get on board with trying to find a way to thwart this problem down there. And that means they have to go against their own administration. So there's some of the Texas Democrats that are waking up. They're seeing the election results. We're looking forward to the elections in Texas this next fall because and all these border states, because this is a disaster that's down there, and the people are ticked off like you can't believe, especially the Hispanic folks who have come in here the right way, and now they see that their citizenship is being basically demeaned by this influx of people, and as a result, there's a lot of people that are fed up with this, and we're going to see some nice swings toward Republicans in these states along the border.
Hey, Congressman, I wanted to ask you about that real quick before I let you go. I was seeing a story earlier this morning saying 36 House lawmakers are not going to run for re-election. They're blaming different things, but 23 of those are Democrat and 13 are Republicans. And the Democrats are saying they're not going to run because they don't feel with redistricting that their district is going to be friendly to them now. Do you feel, and are you getting a feeling from the House that you're going to be able to gain seats in 2024?
Well, we're a year away, or 10 months here, Mike, and that's a lifetime in politics. So I hesitate to jump out there and predict a landslide for us because we do have some problems. The redistricting in New York is very problematic. We may lose 3 or 4 seats there. Redistricting in North Carolina is to our benefit. We'll probably pick up 2 or 3 seats. California has been problematic. There's a lot of swing. The number of swing seats has decreased as a result of redistricting. It was people generally considered it about 74. Now it's roughly about 51. And so the fight is over those 51 seats. And so that's what it comes down to. So I think that the environment could be good for us. People are fed up with Bidenomics. They're fed up with the border. They're fed up with the lack of leadership at the international level that we provided. I mean, we allowed, by the lack of strong leadership, to entice or allow Russia to go in unfettered into Ukraine. Israel is being attacked from two sides now, Hezbollah and Hamas, one from the north, one from the south. Iran behind the scenes playing games. China just met with, and some of the conversations were disclosed this last week, with Biden a couple of weeks ago and told him he's going to take over Taiwan one way or the other. And so all of these things are sitting here, I think, because we have weak leadership. And people, these dictators, they smell weakness. When they smell weakness, they know that they can take advantage of that and can make a lot of hay. So they're sitting here pushing this administration, and then this administration doesn't know how to push back. And so we have a real problem. And so that is in itself a huge issue that I think people are looking at. But you go back to Bidenomics, the latest statistics are that everybody, in order to keep their same income or same activities of spending for the same amount of groceries and stuff you have to spend $1,000 more per month now than they did 2 years ago. Wow. So in other words, if you bought the same amount of groceries, same amount of insurance, same amount of gas for your car, whatever it is, it now costs $1,000 more this month than it did 2 years ago, just to stay even with where you were. People's incomes have not gone up $1,000 a month, and as a result, there's a lot of people that are suffering today, and that's going to play into this campaign. I think we'll be in good shape, but there's a lot of time to go. And remember, we're Republicans. We like to shoot ourselves in both foot, not just one.
I live that on a regular basis. Congressman, I appreciate you taking some time right after Christmas. I hope you have a great time off. You get recharged. You get to spend some time with the family, and appreciate you fighting our battles in D.C. on a regular basis, and always good when we get a chance to catch up.
Always a pleasure with you this morning, Mike and Ryan, and Merry Christmas to you and Christmas blessings, and hope everything for the new year works out for everybody, and it's a peaceful year and a successful year. We're holding our breath on that, but we've got to hope that it can work out and work hard toward that end, and it's always my honor to be able to be with you guys. So thanks again. Take care.
We appreciate it. Take care. Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer, Missouri's 3rd Congressional District. I always love the opportunity when I get the chance to talk to Blaine. He shows up at stuff on a regular basis, and he's just so real. Like when he comes to the chambers and he'll do, an hour and a half of taking questions with people, and people ask him things, and he's straight up, well, I'll tell you, this is how it really is.
When I hear him talking about being on committees that are grilling Vanguard and BlackRock, I'm like, that dude's doing good work.
Well, and this guy knows his stuff inside and out. He's a guy that you want. Because one of the things you'll notice is Blaine Luetkemeyer is not the guy who's always on camera somewhere. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't seek that kind of spotlight, but he's a guy who gets in the weeds and he gets it all done. A guy who also gets in the weeds is sitting next to me here, and we've got Wiggins America.
Oh, my gosh, what a great transition that
There
was.
you go. We are going to get into the weeds of Wiggins coming up on the other side. It's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Friday day after Christmas show. We are going to keep the wheels on the bus, and they're going to go round and round right here at 97.1 FM Talk.
Touching hands.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 800 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, And ships free with code 800. LUMEdeodorant.com, code 800. For an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 800.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Warmest wishes for a joyous holiday season and a happy new year from your friends at Odyssey and Onder Law Injury Lawyers.
I'm Dr. Nick Barnes at Health From Within Family Chiropractic in Rock Hill. At Health From Within, our mission is to transform the way you manage your health by bringing you the truth about health and healing. We use proven techniques to remove interference in the nervous system and maximize health naturally, without drugs or surgery. Connect with me at healthfromwithinstl.com and join me for Maximize Living on this station every Sunday at 8 a.m. or download the Maximize Living podcast, healthfromwithinstl.com.
Hey, this is the Annie Frey Show. Annie Frey is out, but Mike Elam is in. We are still doing the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll. What we want to know today is, does a third party have a chance in the 2024 election? Yes or no? There's a lot of talk about the possibility of all these different third-party candidates. We want to know whether you think they have an actual shot in the coming election. It is 12:48. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
St. Louis's destination for questioning the narrative.
Your home for conservative talk.
This is 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show.
Great post you just hit there, Leah. Excellent job. So what I'm talking about today in Wiggins, America is something that I don't know why it happened, but it was weird enough that we were sitting around at Christmas yesterday, and my mother-in-law goes, Tucker Carlson sat down with Kevin Spacey? And we all went,
why?
What? So my job today, I knew on coming in, was I got to sit down and figure out what in the world was going on with this interview. Were you all aware of this happening?
Not until you said it.
Yeah.
Well, of course Trish is, because she's up on everything.
Yeah, Trish is here. And so, her mic's not on, but she's still here. It's
so
okay.
we got Trisha, Leah, and Drew, who have all joined us for Wiggins America.
Yeah, we got a full room. And I'm going to play a couple clips from this interview, and I want to know what you guys think is going on. Here's the intro as to why or how they set this whole thing up. Okay.
Is there anyone in this country of 350 million people who could jump in at this late date and re-scramble the calculus of electoral politics? Well, there may be someone. And in fact, you already know him. You know his face. And the question is, will he get in this cycle? And that's my question for you.
Well, that's really a decision for the people, Tucker. It's not something that I really think about or want to do. And Merry Christmas to you, too. But I've always believed that nothing should be off the table in life or in art. I think we could both agree that we need to get some adults back in the room. So if that means taking on the chief executive role, well, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for this great nation.
Adults in the room. I love it. I could see it as a bumper sticker. Is that your campaign slogan?
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Okay. What in the world is going on? Because Tucker Carlson is interviewing Kevin Spacey as his character, I guess, from House of Cards?
Yes.
So I've never watched House of Cards. Am I the only? Have you watched this show?
I saw some of House of Cards, but I didn't do all of it.
Am I the only one? Has everybody else seen House of Cards?
Never seen it.
Yes, I have seen it.
You have?
Never seen it.
Never seen it. Okay, so it's about 50-50, so I don't feel too bad. So he's doing this character, which I can tell is a character just because he's doing the drawl.
He's got the southern lawyer accent that he is using. Thank you very much.
Exactly. And so I'm going, okay, why is this happening? I don't know. And it's only about 8 minutes long. They blur the lines between talking about the character and talking about Kevin Spacey as a person and Tucker Carlson as a person. Here's an example of that.
You know, you and I have something in common, actually.
Oh, yes, we both got canned by our network.
True. But they actually tried to kill you.
Yes, but here we are, Tucker, bigger than ever.
So looking back on all the drama, do you think that legacy media played a role in what happened to you?
Look, I think they're trying to do their best to stay relevant. Look, platforms like X, I mean, you move information around so quick that everybody else is just playing catch up. Legacy media's diligence has turned out to be they just cut and paste what some trusted outlet does. I mean, look, this will be a good example. Watch how they report on this conversation. There'll be 1 or 2 headlines that get repeated over and over and over. I think actually if legacy media wants to survive, they're going to have to start slowing down.
That's smart. I agree with that. By the way, do you watch Netflix anymore?
Probably as much as you watch Fox.
Fair.
Right? Okay.
Wow.
So, I mean, what's real? What's happening in this? But he's saying some things that we on the right tend to say. We're very critical of the mainstream media.
Right.
Kevin Spacey, as his character, is doing that. And the fact that he would even sit down with Tucker Carlson is weird, right?
It is. Not the strangest guest that Tucker Carlson's had on, let's be honest.
Who's stranger that comes to mind?
Just think Obama and...
Has Obama been on Tucker Carlson?
No. The guy that allegedly hooked up with Obama.
Was that... Yes, that was not too long ago. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I guess after Fox, he's had some interviews.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Drew's right. He had a guy on who allegedly was with, and I'm using the word with...
in an intimate setting.
Yeah, that was what the interview was. A guy that was with Obama.
This is podcast, not.
This is after Fox.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question for you guys though is that obviously Tucker Carlson, regardless of what you think of him, he's a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
He examines situations. He knows how to kind of use his medium for specific purposes.
Right.
So I'm going, why in the world do you interview a guy who has a very sordid past now, who pretty much everybody has written off? Now, he says, and apparently it's true, that there were no actual charges that went through against him. That's why he's still free, and none of the charges were, he's not a criminal. Basically, he was let off on all of those charges. They were proven not guilty. So is Tucker doing this solely for attention? And because he knows that it'll just get people talking about him? Does he know exactly what he's doing, but he's doing some sort of 3D chess that everybody's talking about? Oh, he's got something else that's going to drop with this? I mean, what do you think?
I think his theme is like interviewing people that have been canceled. So this kind of falls right in line with what he's been doing, in my opinion.
True. Nice take.
Does it change for you, though, if Kevin Spacey was found guilty?
Well,
then does
a
he?
little bit.
So because he's not guilty, you think Tucker is saying, "Hey, look, let's give everybody a second chance, no matter who they are, who's not found guilty of these heinous charges."
I think he's probably interested in what Kevin Spacey went through and just like sharing that story a bit. So,
what do you think?
I think it's strange all the way around, and I don't know why you would even bring him up to interview him, but. I think I went too long with Blaine Luetkemeyer and cut off this conversation.
No, you did. I mean, I really just didn't know if people were A, aware of it, and B, what they thought of it, because I don't know myself. I don't know why it's happening.
Can you do me a favor and circle back to this in next hour? I do want to talk about that, because we're going to talk to Jim Carafano on the other side here in St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, it's Annie. A personal thank you from me to you and Ruler Foods for making our 2023 food drive such an amazing success. It was so cool to be a part of. Thank you so much. Saving money over the holiday season was so important for us at the Frey House because we make a lot of food for a lot of people. It's our favorite thing to do. My husband is a great cook, and saving for feeding so many people at Ruler Foods was a must for our family. You can still save now. I want to make sure that you understand that Ruler Foods has you for this whole holiday break and beyond. Sugardale shank or butt portion ham, 87 cents a pound. Heritage Farm whole chicken fryers, drumsticks, or thighs, 97 cents a pound. Kroger 5-pound potatoes or 3-pound yellow onions, $1.97 each. Plus those Marie Calendar pies still on sale at $5.99 each. Save with Ruler Foods. I talked to some people who came to the food drive, and they were talking about how they had not gone to Ruler Foods until they heard me talking about it, and they gave it a shot, and they loved it. Become one of them. You will be so glad you did. You can find the details online at rulerfoods.com.
Surprise! Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
Come to the enchanted attic. Come to the enchanted attic. Come to the enchanted attic, and the mysteries of life shall be revealed. Gaze into a crystal ball to see your future. Breathe in the exotic fragrances of incense, candles, and essential oils. Adorn your body with jewelry encrusted with mystical gemstones from around the world. Why, many who enter the magical realm of the enchanted attic feel as though they have entered another dimension in time and space. But actually, in reality, they have just entered 304 South Main Street in historic St. Charles, home of the famous Enchanted Attic. This is Diane, and you need to come to the Enchanted Attic. It's mystical, magical, and a whole lot of fun. Open every day, free gift with purchase. You'll love this store.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
U.S. forces retaliate. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. 3 U.S. service members injured, one critically in a drone attack in Iraq, and now the U.S. hits back.
President Biden ordered the U.S. military to strike a series of targets belonging to Iran-backed Iraqi Shia militias. We do know, according to CENTCOM, that 3 strikes destroyed the targeted facilities and likely killed a number of Kataib Hezbollah militants. The airstrikes came in response to a drone attack against the Erbil air base that does house U.S. service members. 3 Americans were injured in that attack, one critically, and also comes as Israeli forces remain on high alert today after an airstrike yesterday in Syria killed IRGC commander Saeed Razi Mousavi. In response to that strike, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi said, quote, "This act is a sign of the Zionist regime's frustration and weakness in the region, for which it will certainly pay the price."
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. Meantime, Israel's Minister of Strategic Affairs, Ron Dermer, set to be in D.C. this week for talks on the next phase of the war in Gaza. Dermer is expected to meet with White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and members of Congress. Talks are expected to include who will govern the Gaza Strip once the war eventually ends. Ukraine saying it's damaged a major Russian warship.
Ukraine says it has destroyed a large warship in Feodosia docked in Crimea. A large explosion was seen, and many
Germany captured it on video. Russian officials said the ship was damaged and that one person was killed. Moscow also says air defense systems destroyed the Ukrainian fighter jets that were involved. While Ukraine does have an air force and some jets, they are expecting F-16 fighter jets imminently. The British government says Ukrainian pilots have just completed basic training and are now learning to fly the F-16s in Denmark. 4 days ago, the Dutch Prime Minister told Kyiv to expect the delivery of 18 F-16 jets. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
America's listening to Fox News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
A windy and chilly 45 for the high this afternoon. Feeling like late December now, though plenty of sunshine. Tonight, more and more clouds take over, 35. Wednesday, periods of rain, some big old sloppy wet snowflakes mixing in from time to time. It's cold, 42 degrees. Wednesday night, rain, some wet snow mixed in, 32. And Thursday will start with a little bit of light snow and a cloudy 42 Thursday afternoon. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Join the Tree of Hope for Kids at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital by giving at 971talk.com. You can make a difference this Christmas season. That's 971talk.com. The link is right there at the top of the page.
How would you like to make no mortgage payments for 2 months? Are you tired of making minimum payments on high-interest credit cards? Is student loan repayment giving you the blues? Your home equity is at an all-time high. Use that equity to save hundreds every month. Call 314-567-GOLD now and give yourself a payment break. That's 314-567-GOLD. Or visit goldenoaklending.com. NMLS 114937.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. In the Christmas season, we celebrate the miracle of a tiny baby, born to a poor teenager who grew to change the world. What better time to reflect on how you are being called to serve young mothers in need and their tiny, precious babies. Over the years, day in and day out, our team at Coalition Life have walked alongside women facing the fear and challenges of an unexpected pregnancy. Through the support of this community, we have given them hope and a path to choose life for the children they carry. Our work continues, and we need your support more than ever in a post-Roe v. Wade world. Visit coalitionlife.com to learn how your gift of any size can bring the joy of Christmas to life, while reducing or eliminating your state taxes with Missouri's 70% tax credit. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com.
Hi, this is Amanda Murphy with Goldblatt Singer Attorneys at Law. On behalf of everyone at Goldblatt Singer, happy holidays. Take care out there, and remember, if you need help, Goldblatt Singer is just a phone call away.
Hey, it's Annie. Get your conceal and carry with the certified experts at STS Armory. From beginners and ladies only to pepper spray, STS Armory has the class for you. Call 618-931-GUNS or stop by in Pontoon Beach at the corner of Highway 111 and South Drive.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
It is the day after Christmas show. We are all excited to be here. Annie's got the day off. Brad has the day off. Leah and I are in the studio right now, and Ryan Wiggins is making us hot chocolate. I like this when the after holiday show, when you come in and you do that. One of the other things I like is you get to talk to people who I find are just amazingly intelligent, and they are plugged in on stuff that I always appreciate their knowledge. And Jim Carafano is one of those guys who definitely checks that box. Jim, how are you, sir?
Hey, it's good to be with you. I'm a little. I don't get any hot chocolate, so I'm a little teed about that. But
you know, I understand. But and as good as this hot chocolate is probably going to be, I don't know that it's worth coming to St. Louis for. You know, I'm just saying. And as Mr. Wiggins hands me my hot chocolate right now, and I don't know, Jim, it smells pretty darn good. So
just rub it in.
Just well, let me ask you this: how was your Christmas? Did you have a good Christmas at least?
I did. Thanks for asking.
See, that's a good thing. And you probably had hot chocolate at Christmas.
I did. To be fair.
That I just felt it, because Christmas is a hot chocolate kind of holiday.
Yeah. You know, I actually, this is a sad thing, but I went on, I guess, the Fox News. It was just on Christmas Eve, like in the afternoon. And the sad thing was, as I was talking to the producers, I was leaving, I said, well, hope not to see you again, because you're always worried that something terrible is going to happen on the holidays and the evil people are going to take advantage of that. So it's a terrible thought to kind of go home and say, gee, I hope I don't talk to you for 2 days. But
I appreciate the sentiment, though. I appreciate why you didn't want to talk.
Yeah, but we got through 2 days. But there's a lot of people in the world that the last 2 days were not very Christmassy.
This is true, but it seems like the United States has finally decided to start fighting back on when people start attacking us, at least. Would you say that's a first step?
Look, this administration has always been incredibly risk-averse. The fundamental problem that they have is it's all the same people in the Obama administration. And all the bad people in the world, they know the playbook. So it's like going to the game and knowing the plays the other guy's going to call.
Wow.
And so this administration really, it does try to, buy off, adversaries. And when that doesn't work, its impulse is to do the minimal thing they can to kind of make the problem go away. And if that doesn't work, they'll do a little more. And of course, that allows your enemies to decide the pace of escalation. So that's where we're still seeing a war in Ukraine. It's why we still see the Iranians and the Houthi rebels kind of escalating with confidence in the Middle East, knowing that right now I think they feel they can handle any response from the U.S. We just saw this with news breaking about the Chinese balloon came over. The American government was trying to hide that it really didn't want to respond to the Chinese threat. So, yeah, I'm not super. I don't think we're headed for World War III, but I do think we're headed for a lot of pain and misery because we're not responding to threats in a responsible, appropriate manner.
It just makes you feel like they just put their head in the sand and say, it's all going to be fine. It's all going to pass. It's all going to be good. But it seems like she has already told him, supposedly, if you believe the rumors that came out of their last conversation, that China's taken Taiwan one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, they allow terrible things to happen, and if they don't blow up, then they think, oh, look what a great job we're doing. We're managing them, and it's not true. And the number one area or issue, which is the worst, is the border. I mean, anybody can go on social media and just see these innumerable pictures of just people flooding across the border. And the administration has, seemingly gone 3 years, paid no political prices. I just saw one of a coyote basically walking literally dozens of people across, and somebody's filming him doing this. And then when all the people have walked across, he just kind of waves to them and he smiles like, hey, to the camera and says, yeah, hey, and then I'm going back to get another group. And I agree with you. I just think that this administration, head in the sand is exactly right.
It's one of those kind of things where we had Congressman Luetkemeyer on last hour, Missouri Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer, and talking about it just seems like you're like, it can't get any worse, right? They can't ignore this anymore. And then it's like somebody from the Biden administration says, no, hold my beer, watch this.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I think I worry about the Middle East. I don't think we're headed for World War III, but I do worry about more violence, and in particular, the incredible loss of American prestige and influence in the region. I worry a lot about the border. I'm just waiting. Look, I mean, we are just wide open for a terrorist attack. We just are. And so those are the two things that immediately keep me up at night. And what's most troubling about them is the administration game plan seems to be that it's all a game and they don't have a plan.
I would agree with that. And I'm curious. So this is a question I've never asked you, and just the folks of the Heritage Foundation, right? Because you're a group of a lot of really smart, really plugged-in people, which is why I always love the opportunity when I get a chance to talk to you or pretty much any of the folks from Heritage, because I learn a lot about what's going on. But do you guys ever get together in big groups and just talk about, and you probably do this every day, but do you get together in big groups and just talk about what's the biggest issue that you think we're facing right now?
Well, we do that all the time. And the important thing about, I think, our organization is we just don't talk to ourselves. We have people all over the country that we work with. I talk to people all over the world all the time. Many of them texting me and emailing me on Christmas Eve because they don't do Christmas, so they're not worried about that. And, I think different people have different perspectives. But I'll tell you the one thing that, weirdly, the entire world shares, except, for people like in Iran and China and Cuba. And that is they're fearful that America won't stand up and be America. Not the world's policeman, not the global babysitter, but just that Americans won't do the smart things in their own interest, which really in the end turn out to be best for. And I think that is the greatest fear. And the flip side of that is it's exactly what the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians don't want us to do. They don't want us to act like us.
It seems like my first election was Ronald Reagan in 1984. That was the first election that I got. So when I look at my adult life, Reagan was kind of the guy who always carried that torch. And the mantra has always been peace through strength. For a lot of the reasons of what you're talking about, a lot of these other folks from around the world, they just look at the fact of, is there going to be a price that I'm going to have to pay if I do whatever I want to do? And right. I think what I hear you saying is the United States was always kind of the adult in the room that said, I don't have to be at war with you. I don't have to be, threatening you. But as long as you feel that this great United States power is there, I'm going to at least think twice before I do anything, because you do have the ability to smack me down if you decide to do it. And it feels like the rest of the world, to what you're saying right now, is going, I don't think that's true anymore.
Well, I think you described it exactly right. It's kind of the world's safety net. We're a global power with global interests and global responsibilities. If we just look after our own, we are a natural check and balance against all the most evil people in the world. That's just factually what happens. And I think the kind of the magic that we saw in the Reagan years and in the last administration, for that point, is we don't have to go out and slay all the dragons. We're not nation builders or regime changers or war starters or warmongers. Right. And the other thing is being isolationist and sitting at home on your hands just lets the bad things come to you. So there's a middle ground there. There's a third way. There's, a space between being an isolationist and being a world conqueror. And when America occupies that space, the world really is in balance. And we talk about climate change and all this other nonsense. The reality is people are going to be people. They're going to seek human flourishing. And when you create that environment, that's when positive things happen. And so the world will solve all the environmental problems, but we just need to be the responsible citizens that we should be, even in our own country. And this is the thing, this is the greatest doubt. It's actually not what's going on in the Middle East or in Ukraine or in Taiwan. They look and see what we're doing in our own backyard. Unlimited illegal migration, incredible woke policies that destroy our communities, allowing people to mutilate our own children in the sake of a political identity. that's where they really scratch their heads and saying, hey, what's going on here? And I know this is like, what are you talking about? We can't have 27 genders and 87 bathrooms, but
right.
Just a few years ago, we didn't have any of those things. And you know what? Everybody thought we were perfectly normal.
It's very
and
true.
So I think there is a space to go back to.
Well, and it makes me think that, and this is a scary thought, and probably one that keeps you up, is the fact that it feels like we've got a year, right? Because you've got to have a change at the White House. You've got to put, whether it's Trump or someone else, you've got to have a Republican back in the White House. You need to have a Republican Senate, Republican House, so it at least sends that, holy crap, these guys would actually do something if they're in charge type feeling that we're projecting to the rest of the world. But it makes me think right now that the rest of the world, based on everything that you just said, has said we've got about a year to do whatever we're going to do before Dad gets home and decides to break the belt out.
Yeah. Well, I think, our enemies aren't stupid. They want to win without fighting. So their answer is we will bank as much as we can over the next year. And then if America does, by some miracle, elect a sensible president, we'll have to take a time out. But, hopefully it won't last forever. And, another Biden will come along and we can go back to doing what we're doing. So the sad thing is we pay for it. I mean, everything that's gone wrong in this country, the American taxpayer has been billed for that. Illegal immigration, the world's largest human trafficking network, you're paying for that. Inflation, you're paying for that. Debt, you paid for that. So we pay on both ends. We pay to create the problems, and then we have to pay to fix the problem. That's a little frustrating, but this is the reality in which we live. And honestly, I'll just end on this because I wouldn't have it any other way. I think this is the best of times for this country for the simple reason that they have two very distinct choices of where to go in this world. And I think that's the best time for democracy. You get to these roads are going to very different places. You get to pick your future. And that's a miracle that not many people on earth get to have.
That's very true. And you couldn't be more correct about having clear choices. You saw where we were. You've seen where we are. Now you get the opportunity to say, okay, I test drove that guy and I've test drove that guy. Here's where I want to go at least for the next 4 years. And that feels like what it's going to be moving forward. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, thanks for having me. Have a happy new year. Talk to you guys soon.
Jim, we appreciate the time. That's Jim Carafano from the Heritage Foundation spending some time with us on this after Christmas show today. Always good to sit down and have a conversation with that guy. I can only imagine sitting in the room with the Heritage Foundation folks and getting an idea of what that conversation is going to feel like. Because you have an awful lot of smart people in the room who are very well informed, and they definitely get the opportunity to talk through the issues of the day, which we will continue to do. Mike Elam sitting in today for Annie Frey. It is St. Louis's home for conservative talk on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Now we see everything that's going wrong with the world and those who lead it. We just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer Sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair is gone, all thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
Ring in the new year with the ultimate timeless gift, a diamond from Diamonds Direct. Whether you're ready to pop the question or celebrating a lifetime of love in 2024, Diamonds Direct can make this New Year's one to remember forever. Diamonds Direct is the area's destination for exquisite diamonds in all shapes and sizes, and our nationwide price guarantee ensures you'll get the best value, period. To showcase that spectacular diamond, we have literally thousands of designer settings from all the top names like Tacori, Verragio, Simon G, A. Jaffe, and many more. And our experts will guide you every step of the way with the education you want and the respect you deserve. Engagement rings, wedding bands, eternity bands, fashion rings. At Diamonds Direct, we specialize in the ultimate symbol of love, and we welcome the opportunity to celebrate with you. So start the new year with some new excitement, new hope, and some new bling. Diamonds Direct. At Olive and 270, official partner of the St. Louis Blues and proud to call the Gateway City home. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
I'm Tom Hoffman, president of Tom Hoffman Heating and Air Conditioning, a 5-star rated company. I'll beat any competitor's price on a new furnace right now. Just call me. Residential or commercial, we have done thousands of jobs in St. Louis in the past 20 plus years. Call me 314-471-7625. That's 314-471-7625.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Charles Lipson.
What's going on the southern border, the way I look at it, is the president is supposed to faithfully execute the laws.
Yes.
Who in their right mind thinks he's faithfully executing these laws?
Weekdays from 3 to 6. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Joke, I'd like to buy the world a token, teach the world to sing in perfect harmony, and teach the world.
It's the Annie Frey Show, day after Christmas edition. Mike Elam sitting in for Annie today. Ryan Wiggins is back, and Lee is here as well. Drew is outside making sure that no one is able to get into the studio without our permission today.
Yeah, he's just working security.
That's right. He's out there. Autographs. He's there standing with a scowl on his face. Hey, our YouTube live chat poll today is, does a third party stand a chance in the 2024 election? Yes or no?
I am going to say more than ever
You're
this
not
year.
supposed to answer
Oh,
yet.
I'm not? Oh, you looked at me like you wanted me to answer.
No,
so.
I was just saying, I'm just kidding.
More than ever, a third-party candidate has a better chance this year, and the answer is still no.
I think there's a lot of people that are going to I think there are a lot of people that are open for a third-party candidate this
More
year.
than ever.
I agree.
More than ever.
I think there are so many people that are just like, man, Brewster's Millions is the movie that I go back to with Richard Pryor when he's like, vote none of the above. I think there's an awful lot of people in this country that are just willing to say, I want none of the above.
I think, though, those people generally are not going to show up.
I don't think they're going to vote either. I don't think you're going to have 150 million people vote like you did.
No, I don't think it'll be a high turnout election. And part of that is because if it's Biden-Trump.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, that changes things.
That's true.
But if it's Biden-Trump, then the average person looks at that, and I'm not saying that you and I are the average person or even people who are tuned in right now between Christmas and New Year's listening to politics on the radio.
These are above average people.
These are above average people.
Exactly.
These people are showing up and voting.
Right. They know what's going on.
But the person who doesn't pay that close of attention and just knows the names because they happen to both be presidents of the United States,
yes,
they are going to look at those candidates and go, it's an easy out for me. Throw all the bums out, the old line.
Right.
And so I'm not going to show up, or they show up, and this is the question I had for you guys, based on the question, does it matter who the third party candidate is? Because right now you got RFK is the main one.
Right.
But Joe Manchin, I think his time's, he's got to better hurry because I think they're getting past the filing deadline in a lot of these states. And so I just don't see that he may be a contender, but RFK will be. And so does it matter that it's him instead of Manchin or somebody else?
I think, yes, that matters. I think if the No Labels Party can put together two people that, here's my guess, a Manchin and a Romney would go together on a ticket. Two middle of the road, they're not really conservative or liberal. They're just kind of in the middle, right? And they could go either way depending on what the subject is. And I think they're so milquetoast that no one's going to get excited about them.
And so nobody shows up to vote for them.
Right. So, but that's kind of who I see the No Labels Party going after. They want an uber moderate ticket for people to go vote for. But uber moderates just don't go anywhere. Like, you don't win if you're a moderate, generally speaking. You'll get killed in the primary and you'll never make it to the general, which is why, to be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised that more candidates don't file as independents. Because if you file as an independent, then you skip the primary and you go straight to the general election. And I'm surprised if you're, let's say you're a moderate liberal in the city of St. Louis. If you're a moderate liberal in the city of St. Louis, you're going to get killed if you're running for a general election, or you're going to get killed in the primary. So I'm surprised you don't just file independent and take you straight to the general.
Yeah, but then the smaller the race, the more nobody knows who you are anyway. And so they're going to vote based on the D or the R next to your name because they don't know who you are.
I guess it's fair.
And then the bigger the race gets, they might know your name, but there's no money. So it's kind of you can't really do one or the other. You almost have to pick one side.
So we're pretty much destroying our poll. Will a third party stand a chance? We're pretty much telling you we don't think there's a snowball chance in hell that a third party can. But vote anyway.
Well, we always take a side on these things. It doesn't mean we're right. I just believe that we almost always are.
I would say most everybody in this country has got to be sick and tired of what we have. I mean, for sure, we've got to be sick and tired of what we have. I mean, Leah, so we just talked about our lovely vice president earlier.
Yes.
We have that soundbite. So just to prepare you for 4 more years, and could be, if this ticket got reelected, this could be your president. Listen to this.
We all watched the television coverage of just yesterday. That's on top of everything else that we know and don't know yet, based on what we've just been able to see. And because we've seen it or not doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but just limit it to what we have seen.
What?
I want to let you know that when I went Christmas shopping this morning and I was there at a store too early and I didn't get good deals because they hadn't marked everything down yet. I was too early. That one of the things that I saw that if they had marked it down, I might have gotten, I was going to bring in the office today, was a board game called Venn diagrams.
I love Venn diagrams.
And we were just going to do a segment figuring out how to play the game Venn diagrams and playing Kamala Harris clips.
I've never
might
heard,
have been Wiggins America.
Kamala Harris is the only person I've ever heard who said, I love Venn diagrams.
And she says it a lot.
She does. She's got like a go-to list of things that she says, and she keeps pulling them out from time to time, and she applies them, and it doesn't matter what the circumstance. Oh, here's my crutch phrase. I'm going to throw that one in. Like, it doesn't matter if it's happened or it hasn't happened. It still happened.
Yeah, it's funny because these kind of things, everybody does them. The gaffes that President Biden has, the ones that Kamala Harris has, Trump, George W. Bush. I mean, these people, they have their famous way of speaking and the things they fall into.
Yeah.
It's just that once it becomes common that you do it over and over again. You know, one time it's a funny clip.
Yes.
2 times you're starting to have a trend. 50 times, and it's who you are. And that's where we're at with both the president and the vice president, is that you wait not to hear what they say, the substance of what they say. You wait for those things.
True, which is sad.
And this is an opportunity. This, in the past, had been a place where comedy stepped in and made a caricature out of that thing.
Right.
But they won't do it to these people because they're sacrosanct, because they don't want to hurt them politically, because really it's all about power at this point. It's not about comedy.
I think they're really afraid to do anything with Harris because she's kind of that third rail, right? For the left, at least, and for those late-night comedians that we used to watch. But does anybody even watch late-night TV anymore?
No, not really.
The
ratings are almost to the point that, I mean, not to belittle Gutfeld, but he's beating most of them.
I actually watch Gutfeld. I will watch his show. But his show is really a panel discussion on the issue of the day.
And here's the deal, because we happen to be the Annie Frey show, and Annie and Brad have made tremendous relationships with a lot of the people from Gutfeld.
Oh.
We've never had Greg Gutfeld on, but obviously we talk to Tyrus every week.
Right.
We may have had Kat Timpf on at one point. I don't remember. I may be wrong about that. I know they've been talking about it, and they really want to get Greg on. But all the writers, Joe DeVito, Joe Mackey, Lisso, these guys have all been on the show, and to the point they're almost regulars,
They
if you
are.
call them, which is cool. And one of the things that when they come on the show now that we talk about, I mean, we talk about just comedy and current events and stuff, but then either when I sneak a question in, or when we're walking around the lobby, I'm like, tell me this, tell me that, tell me this. So I talk to them about the business of what they're doing. And I ask them, like, how does it run? You know, because they don't run that show live. They tape it.
Right.
Just like all late night shows do.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I've gleaned from talking to those guys and from just listening to Greg Gutfeld do interviews about his craft, because he's on the radar now, and people like Variety have to go, well, one of the kings of late night is Greg Gutfeld. So they they hate him, but they have to at least talk to him once in a while to just show that they're in the business.
Does it not surprise you that Greg Gutfeld is the late night leader?
Well, he's always one or two right now. Yeah.
But I think it surprises him as much as it surprises anyone.
Totally.
I've got to think that Gutfeld's got to get up some mornings and just go, I cannot believe I'm pulling this off.
Oh, doing the underdog thing works great for them.
I agree.
But the point of what I'm saying this is that when I talk to these guys, what they can't believe is that you consider 2-3 writers maybe is all you have, and some of those writers are on the show, like
right.
Mackey and Joe DeVito. Like, they're regularly on the show. Tyrus is one of them, Kat Timpf, and the other ones that, you know, a lot of them are just Fox other guests. What they say is they can't believe that they're competing and beating late night shows that get huge guests.
Right.
And they cannot get, because they're right wing, they can't get these celebrities other than here or there to come on their show. They just can't. They're making inroads, but they're not quite there yet. The bigger they get, the more they will. The other one is that they have a writing staff of like 2 people, and they're all panelists. The writing staffs of these shows are big. They are dozens of people that are there to write a monologue and prepare. And you can see they have a studio audience. They show them sometimes. They've got all these interns. Greg Gutfeld has none of that. They literally use their writers as panelists.
They do.
Like, it's so much lower of a budget show. In Greg's words, I'm not like projecting this. He's like, look, we get ratings that nobody else can get based on money that nobody is in. The investment that people put into us is so much better than the investment that NBC is putting into their shows.
Oh,
and
by
CBS,
all means.
because it's so much bigger.
Return on investment is so much better in the Gutfeld show than it is on these other shows. I mean, like you said, you've got that huge studio audience. You've got all the writers. Everybody's got a band.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about the band.
They have a band.
Yeah.
And I bet the band makes more than everybody on Gutfeld's show, minus Gutfeld, right? If you put everybody else together, like The Roots is still the band, I think, on The Tonight Show. I'd say that because I haven't seen The Tonight Show in like years.
The only piece of trivia I know about The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon is that the Roots are no longer on it.
Oh, are they not?
They had a falling out, and I think they tried to sue the show.
Oh.
And the only reason I know that is because I've been to Universal Studios, and the Jimmy Fallon ride that they have there, the late night ride, still has the Roots on it.
They have a ride?
They do, and it's actually pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, it's that you fly through New York like you're racing Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So then Jimmy Fallon just had that whole big thing because I was seeing a thing this morning of the biggest scandals that happen all year long, right? So you have a list of famous people who died.
Yeah, I do. Right.
Well, actually, Leah said famous people, or you said no, just people from all
I have
over
a
the
list
world
of everybody who died in 23.
It's everyone who died.
Yeah.
The hundreds of millions of people. Ryan has a list.
Yeah.
But you had all these scandals, and Fallon was one of them, that he's being sued by his people for creating a hostile work environment and evidently doing just crazy things that people are like, wait, what? What did he do? Because you're Jimmy Fallon. You're supposed to be the safe, clean comedian that everybody likes. And it's funny how people are so different off camera than they are on camera.
I mean, it catches up with you eventually.
Yeah.
A lot of times it takes a while.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to lose their jobs, lo and behold. They don't want to come out against their very, very famous employer. But you do it long enough, and then that cycle of people's run through, and they're not on the show anymore, and then they're willing to do something about it.
Well, it's like Lizzo was always, she was the one who was sticking up for larger women, right? And stop the body shaming and all that. And then she got sued because she fired one of her backup dancers because she evidently put on too much weight.
That's right.
And I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
I mean, couldn't you have found another spot for her? Because you would think that's going to be real. That is not on brand, as the expression goes, right? That is not on brand for you to be able to do that.
But it's a paradigm shift of entertainment is what's happening.
Right.
And it's primarily because of streaming, although not entirely. But you are seeing, they call it the parallel economy, where you have the mainstream media, mainstream entertainment that exists in one area, and that has been the dominant media. And now you have other pop-ups that are starting to make money and be successful, like, for instance, Lady Ballers, the Daily Wires movie that came out that has been very successful. And these things now completely exist outside the Hollywood system, and they're making an impact. And this is what that looks like in the transition period, where you have things popping up that little groundhogs going, hey, wait, where'd that come from? That's outside the norm. And so it's going to continue to happen probably more and more.
Well, you've got these things. You talked about Tucker Carlson before, and we could talk about that on the other side of the break. But just it used to be you built your way up on network television, and that's where you got your audience, and that's where you made your money. And if you ever lost that job, you just kind of drifted into obscurity, and nobody really knew what happened. Now, you use that as a way to build your name and build your audience, and then you want to get away from network TV, and you want to go do your own podcast, or in Glenn Beck's case, you start your own sideline network called The Blaze, and then you have all your own people, and you do all these podcasts, and he makes millions doing his own network that isn't on television. So you get that, and now you've got Tucker Carlson that's got his tens of millions of followers, and he uses that and goes direct to consumer.
Yeah, you just don't have the same gatekeepers as you used to, because as much as we rail against social media and the internet, it really is kind of the libertarian dream of opening it up to anybody who can succeed. Hey, you work hard enough, you put up enough content out there, you do something dumb enough, you're going to get attention. And that's the way it works. And in a way, it really is beautiful because the gatekeepers don't have as much power as they used to.
They don't. I mean, I remember Joe Rogan was a bit player on news radio. I think when I first knew who he was on that TV show. And then all of a sudden, I lose track of Joe Rogan.
Fear Factor.
That
was the other thing he did.
He pops up on that kind of stuff in doing his show, and then he disappears from Fear Factor, and then he evidently is doing MMA stuff. And like, how did Joe Rogan go from this side role on a TV show to doing Fear Factor, and now he's the MMA guy, and then he disappears out of my view, and he starts his podcast, and arguably the largest podcast of listeners in the United States.
And he's making more money now than he ever has doing any of the mainstream stuff.
I can't imagine. You do a 3-hour podcast every day, and you just talk about whatever you want to talk about, and you cuss, you swear, well, it's the same thing. So you use foul language on a regular basis. You really have no holds. You can do whatever you want. And it's libertarian, as you said. It's very freeing that you could do that. And you can just kind of take over and do the whole thing. I mean, we have limits, obviously, as to what we can talk about here in terms of language that we use, because the FCC is going to dictate that, right? Or if you use different pieces of music that you're not supposed to, YouTube's going to shut you down. So you have different things like that you have to be careful of. But it's funny on these podcast things that they just kind of roll, man, and they could do a little bit of anything. Hey, I want to catch up on who died on the other side of this break. So let's catch up and talk about that, because I haven't seen that list yet this year.
It's an entire year, and I've actually got them categorized by whether you were a musician, a politician, kind of what world you're famous in. Kind of want to see if you remember this.
That's why I'm curious, because there's always people who pass, and I'm like, ooh, I forgot they died.
For a day, you're like, oh, and then you move on.
There's a whole game called Alive or Dead. We can play that if you want. It's on the other side. Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey today on St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
6 to 8 years to arrive, and if you follow them, be out tomorrow. But if we are the shun, you might as well be walking on the sun.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Warmest wishes for a joyous holiday season and a happy new year from your friends at Odyssey and Onder Law Injury Lawyers.
Pretend you didn't just hear us discussing this YouTube live chat poll and let us know what you think, unvarnished by our opinions. Does a third party have a chance in the 2024 election? Yes or no? That's the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll. Let us know what you think. We'll give you the results, as usual, at the end of the show. At just shy of 3 o'clock, 1:44 right now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Shows that make a difference in your day.
Your home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
So Annie is off today and the day after Christmas, but Leah, Ryan, and I are here. Drew's running security outside. I just like saying that. I was surprised that there is a guy who actually does security out front now when I come in.
Yeah.
Not to do all the inside baseball stuff.
You get grilled on the way in.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Hey, you're not here very often.
You're some sort of politician. You're not a radio host. Who are you?
You're not supposed to be here. Who let you in today? It's funny. You run into people in the hallways. Like when we're in a break and I'll run down to the kitchen to grab some water or something. There's 6 radio stations in this building? Something like that?
I think so.
I think there's 6 radio stations in this building right now. So you run into all kinds of people that you see in the kitchen while you're there. And ran into Chris from KMOX while we were there and talking to him. He's like, hey, how many people are working on your station today? Like, well.
Actually, everybody.
Everybody's
Pretty
working
much.
Everybody who's here is working. The full Mark Cox show was here this morning. Reardon will be here this afternoon. We got everybody except Brad and Annie here today, which I'm very thankful about. Otherwise, I would be at home on my couch. But I will.
And you hate that.
Yeah. What? Are you complaining or no?
I actually like getting out of the house. It's actually, this is a lot of fun for me because it's not my regular job. So it's something that I get to do on the side. One of the 4 jobs that I actually have, which my wife's like, the word you're looking for is no. Just because someone asks you to do it does not mean you need to say yes. I'm like, that's some wise counsel.
In your old age, you'll learn that.
Maybe, or I won't get to old age. One of the two. Although, tomorrow, I'm bringing my father with me, who is here. So my 91-year-old father is going to join us tomorrow. And if he does what he did last year when I filled in, he will sit here for 3 hours and not say a word. I'm like...
It's me.
That you can sit here with her.
Yeah.
Well, you've already outpaced him, though.
That's it. You've already said more than that. There you go. Hey, so let's get to your list. People who have passed away in 2023. Anybody on that list that you went, oh, wow.
Well, I think because you forget how long a year is.
It's true.
And you hear this person, you go, oh, that was just this year. It's not as if you've forgotten, but you didn't realize that it was within the last 12 months.
I thought that was a couple years ago they died.
Let's start with newsmakers / politicians, since that's kind of our lane. Do you remember anybody in the last 12 months? Can you name anybody within that world that has passed away?
Oh, man. Unaided recall is horrible.
Yeah, it's hard. This is very difficult.
So
but
I know
I'm going to say them, and then you're going to go, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know a lot of people wish that Nancy Pelosi did.
Nope. She is not on the list. She is
I
among
think
the
she
living.
actually died years ago, but they just haven't told her yet. That's probably what's going on.
Okay, so that's your guess?
No. So let me hear a name.
Sandra Day O'Connor.
True, just happened.
Just recently.
Yes.
This one was big news when it happened. Dianne Feinstein.
I had forgotten about Dianne Feinstein dying, but that was just a couple of months ago as well.
Yep, and that they thought, oh man, this is going to cause a lot of problems in the Senate. It really didn't.
Nope, didn't affect anything.
They replaced her very, very quickly. Rosalind Carter.
Yes.
That was just recently as well. And the big name, I think, within this category was Henry Kissinger.
Yes.
Who was 100 years old when he died.
I think all of the people that you mentioned have all died since September.
Most of them have, I think. Well, when was Feinstein?
I think Feinstein was October.
Was she that recent? I thought that was earlier than that. But
maybe it was, but it feels like it wasn't very long ago.
Now, this list is very extensive. I mean, they're listing people like Patricia Schroeder, 82, Colorado's first female member of Congress. You know, a lot of people that you're never going to hear of. I'm just trying to pick the biggest names. Let's move to a different category, though, because I think that's mostly who you're going to know in the world of politics, unless there's somebody else here that I'm like, oh, I just overlooked them. How about in the world of TV? So this is mostly stars that you would have seen in series.
Okay.
Anybody that comes to mind?
No.
Because there were a lot of them in this category. Alan Arkin, Raquel Welch, Suzanne Summers.
I did remember Suzanne Summers dying. I didn't remember the other two dying.
I don't remember Raquel Welch. I didn't know her that well. I mean, I didn't know of her that well. Cindy Williams from...
Oh, Laverne and Shirley.
Laverne and Shirley.
I didn't know she died. I missed that one.
Richard Belzer.
I forgot that he died as well.
Paul Rubens.
Oh, Pee Wee Herman died this year. That's right.
And... I'm missing one more here. It was a big one I'm missing here. Have you figured it out yet? Sitcom star?
No.
Matthew Perry.
Oh, that's true.
That, again, was recently.
What was weird about the Matthew Perry thing is my wife and I were listening to a book on a drive back, on a long drive that we had. We were listening to Matthew Perry's book.
I read that too.
And then right after we finished listening to it, he died. And I was like,
he just came out with that book within the last year or so, didn't he?
He did, yeah. The book's only about a year old.
Isn't that strange when somebody releases an autobiography or a biography that they've approved, and then they die unexpectedly like his? Because it's not as if some people have terminal issues,
right?
So they write, and this is their swan song. But that wasn't the case with him. I was just thinking about this the other day too. That Norm Macdonald did the same thing.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Now he didn't die this year,
right? But he did the book and then died.
But he did a book maybe 5 years before his death, and maybe he did know of some health problems. But I don't know that he.
I don't think it was widely known.
And I don't know that at that point that he wrote the book that he would have known either, because I remember reading Norm Macdonald's book just because I thought it would be interesting.
Yeah.
And it's billed as an autobiography. Well, you start reading his book, and in the first couple chapters, you're like, dang, this is really interesting. This guy had a really interesting upbringing.
He did.
Then about halfway through, you start to question whether anything he said is true.
Did you just make this all up?
In typical Norm Macdonald fashion, his own autobiography is probably half false.
Well, so Leah, let me ask you this question about Matthew Perry. Did you listen to his book before he died or after he died?
After. It was like a month ago.
Okay. Because in my opinion, after listening to his book, are you surprised that he's not with us anymore?
Yes and no.
See, I wasn't. After listening to his book, I was not surprised when I heard that he died. I was like, I could see that. I didn't think it would be an overdose or something. I thought his body would just say, tapping out, man. I'm done.
Really?
Well, that sounds like kind of what did happen.
Yeah. Well, evidently he had whatever that
ketamine is.
Ketamine. So he had, it sounds like he kind of OD'd on ketamine.
Which is supposed to curb your cravings. Is
Yes.
that right? So it's kind of a weird.
But it sounds like it was a combination of the ketamine being in the hot tub that evidently he kind of passed out and then drowned. It sounds very similar, actually, to what they said happened with Whitney Houston. Because Whitney Houston, it sounded like she just kind of went in, she passed out and went into the water and drowned when she was taking a bath.
Oh.
And
okay.
he was in a hot tub, passed out, and drowned.
Right.
Similar way. But, I mean, when you heard about everything that he was taking while Friends was going on, I can't believe that guy could put one foot in front of the other, much less he could be on the leading television show. Did that not surprise you?
Oh, it was very surprising. It was shocking, and God just kept giving him chance after chance.
He did. He truly had more than second chances.
That was evident. Actually, Mark Reardon has covered Matthew Perry's death extensively. I don't know what he's just very interested in or what, but I've listened to Mark talking about that issue, and he cut together a bunch of clips from Hank Azaria one day.
Yes.
Who I guess was good friends with Matthew Perry.
Rarely good friends.
And they didn't really get into a lot of the God stuff, but it was all over it. Like you could hear in what in what Hank was saying that he had substance abuse problems too, and that Matthew Perry was taking him through kind of the programs and saying, look, there's help. And they would talk apparently about God together and say, look, this is your point. This is the whole point of everything.
Right.
And then kind of you get that straightened out, and then you can focus on the details is what it sounded like. But another listener, by the way, just added to this list, Bob Barker.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he as a TV star. I want to move on just because we only got a minute here. Music stars. Any that come to mind before I start listing them?
Lead singer of Smash Mouth. Somebody mentioned
Lead
that.
singer of
I
Smash
forget
Mouth
his
is
name.
one. I don't know his name either. It's probably on here somewhere. But the big ones aside from him, Tina Turner.
Yes.
Tony Bennett.
Yes. Tony Bennett was this year, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. I was thinking Tony Bennett was actually last year.
Here's a name that I've always heard in my life, but I don't know anything associated with him. Harry Belafonte.
Yeah.
What is he famous for?
Dale.
Oh, that's him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Jeff Beck is another one.
I didn't realize Jeff Beck was this year as well.
David Crosby, Stills and Nash, Sinead O'Connor.
I remember you guys did a big thing on Sinead O'Connor when she passed.
Yeah, I think those are the big. Burt Bacharach. That's another name that precedes me that I've heard his name a lot.
if you heard his catalog, you would go, I know all those songs.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So there is a lot of that.
Yeah,
well,
so
we could touch on a few more of these a little bit later on. We're going to be here for one more hour. We're going to talk Missouri House and Senate and what's going on in Jeff City with John Wiemann, former Speaker Pro Temp of the Missouri House. He's now the Vice President of Workforce and Strategic Initiatives at St. Charles Community College. Speaking of people who have all kinds of stuff going on. So we'll talk to John a little bit later on after the top of the hour on 97.1 FM Talk.
She don't give a damn for me.
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 800 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 800. LumeDeodorant.com, code 800 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 800.
'Tis the season to be jolly, and with the holidays right around the corner, you want to make sure you have a clean house, and my friends at Zero Res can make that happen. They have been in my house so many times over the years cleaning the carpeting. Look, we have dogs, we have cats, I have a little girl who's 8 years old right now. The carpets get dirty. The area rugs and upholstery, they handle those as well. You get holiday spills that maybe happened over Thanksgiving. Let's clean those up right now, and don't do it yourself. That's a mistake. You go into a big box store, you make a soapy mess on your carpet, you don't really get it clean. Zero Res is going to fix that. Right now, the offer for December is 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at $129, and don't forget your air ducts. Take $50 off when you get your air ducts Zero Res clean right now. They have a fantastic set of crews in the area. They can get you booked very, very quickly. They have a 4.9 rating on Google with over 5,000 reviews. You got to mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk to get the deal. Call Zero Res right now. 314-474-2020. Online, ZeroResSTL.com. Say you want the Mark Reardon special. Spell it forward or backward, it spells the same.
Mark Cox here. I've got an idea. Let's all go to Italy next spring. I'm going to the Amalfi Coast next spring with my friends of conservativetours.com, and you can go along as well. We'll cover Rome, the Amalfi Coast, Puglia, the Isle of Capri, the Abbey of Monte Cassino. It may be one of Italy's best kept secrets. You know, I've been to the Amalfi Coast before. It is without a doubt one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. While you're there, you can take a high-speed jet foil over to the Isle of Capri, which is a site that everyone needs to see. Positano is absolutely beautiful. Sorrento is just gorgeous. You'll get to visit the ruins of Pompeii as one of your side trips if you go on this trip. It's $53.67 a person. That includes your airfare from St. Louis. Call them toll free at 888-733-9494. It's 888-733-9494 or conservativetours.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Tensions rise with Iran. I'm Tom Graham, Fox News. President Biden ordering airstrikes in Iraq. The Pentagon says Iranian-backed militant groups were targeted. This as tensions continue to rise in the Middle East since that start of the Israeli-Hamas war.
According to U.S. Central Command, 3 separate locations were hit, destroyed, and likely a number of Kataib Hezbollah militants killed. The airstrikes came in response to a drone attack against the Erbil air base that houses U.S. service members. 3 Americans were injured in that attack, one critically. This does bring the total number of attacks against American interests in the Middle East to 103 since mid-October. This also comes as Israeli forces remain on high alert after an airstrike yesterday in Syria killed IRGC commander Saeed Razi Mousavi. In response to that strike, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi said, quote, "This act is a sign of the Zionist regime's frustration and weakness in the region for which it will certainly pay the price."
Fox's Trey Yanks in Israel. In New York City, Mayor Eric Adams reacting today following clashes with police in Midtown Manhattan. Several pro-Palestinian protesters interrupting Christmas celebrations.
But all you need is a small pocket of people, like you saw yesterday, that can disrupt a peaceful protester. And they're there, they go for one reason at all, to disrupt.
One police officer injured, 6 protesters arrested. Dangerous blizzard conditions, freezing rain, snarling travel along major interstates in the central U.S. for millions of holiday travelers. Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz.
As that system moves across the country, if you're flying today, these are some of the spots to pay attention to, from Denver getting over towards Kansas City. As this system moves on through the country, those are going to be the spots that maybe slow down a little bit here over the next couple of days if you're traveling.
Now, ice storm warnings are in effect for eastern North Dakota, parts of South Dakota, and that's going to continue through those evening hours. America is listening. Fox News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
A windy and chilly 45 for the high this afternoon. Feeling like late December now, though plenty of sunshine. Tonight, more and more clouds take over. 35. Wednesday, periods of rain. Some big old sloppy wet snowflakes mixing in from time to time. It's cold, 42 degrees. Wednesday night, rain, some wet snow mixed in, 32. And Thursday will start with a little bit of light snow and a cloudy 42 Thursday afternoon. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
When winter sets in and it gets super cold outside, if you are running a business or if you're the person who's managing the office at a business and you've noticed that your furnace is not in good working order, you might have had someone come out and look at it, and you might have been kind of, eyes wide shocked at the cost of the repairs. Did you know you can call Air Comfort Service, Heating, Cooling, and Insulation for a free second opinion on commercial HVAC repairs? They do deal, of course, with residential HVAC concerns, but they are there to help walk you through any type of HVAC needs you might have for your commercial business as well. Here's the number that you need to call. Write this down and ring their phone if you need them to give you that free second opinion. 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. Air Comfort Service will walk you through everything you need to know, and they will help you get the solution right away. Reach out to them at 314-513-0091. You can visit them right now online at aircomfortservice.com.
Hello, I am State Treasurer Vivek Malik. There is a program in my office that allows you to save for your loved one's education. The Most 529 program helps families save for K-12, college, trade, or technical schools. Contributions to most 529 accounts grow tax-free and are eligible for a state tax deduction of up to $16,000. Celebrate this holiday season by giving to your child's education. Learn more at MissouriMost.org.
Sponsored by the Missouri State Treasurer's Office.
The T.R. Hughes Homes for the Holiday Sale is going on now for the rest of the year with unbelievable savings. Hi, I'm Tom Hughes with T.R. Hughes Homes. We have several brand new completed T.R. Hughes homes that are ready now for immediate move-in. Some of these homes are already discounted between $30,000 and $50,000 off regular price, and each home will be discounted another $5,000 every week in December until they're gone. Wait a week or 2 or 3 for a lower price and take the chance someone else just bought your dream home. Wooded half-acre home sites in Arbor Valley and Winsville. A beautiful country setting in Riverdale, just 9 minutes from the St. Peter's Deerbergs, and Charlestown Landing in St. Charles City near Newtown. Don't miss this unbelievable chance to save tens of thousands of dollars on completed, move-in ready T.R. Hughes homes. This sale is over on December 31st. All of us at T.R. Hughes Homes would like to say thank you to the several thousand families that have trusted us to build your dream home over the last 30 years. From our family to yours, we would like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year.
Temperatures getting low, but demand remains high? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Selling your home? Every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. My friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. Check out the only agents I trust. Go to thegelmanteam.com. That's thegelmanteam.com.
It's where St. Louis and beyond comes to talk.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
This is 97.1 FM Talk. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Hey, Annie is off today, the day after Christmas show. Mike Elam, who's sitting in today. Leah's running the board today. Ryan Wiggins is running around the station. He'll be back a little bit later on this hour. Hope your Christmas was good. Hope you're finding those great after Christmas deals if you're one of those folks who like to go out and cash in on all the closeout stuff. I know Ryan was trying to go make some deals on the wrapping paper and all that kind of stuff. So he said he was too early when he was trying to get that done. So I know what Ryan's going to be doing on his way back home. Hey, I wanted to introduce you to my friend John Wiemann, who is joining us today. John, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, Mike.
Hope your Christmas was good.
Christmas was good, and looking forward to the new year.
John is the former Speaker Pro Tem of the Missouri House of Representatives. He is currently the Vice President of Workforce and Strategic Initiatives at St. Charles Community College. I appreciate you making some time on this holiday week. I know school's out, so I'm assuming that you're probably getting a week to decompress and just kind of relax a little bit.
You know, it is nice to work for a higher education organization because they do take off for the Christmas holidays. So I am getting that week of time off. So I'm enjoying it, but I'm still doing a lot of catch-up work as well.
You know, there's always something to be done, especially at St. Charles Community College. And we'll talk about that in a little bit because you guys have 3 campuses now. You just keep growing and growing and growing, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But I wanted to reach out to you because you spent 8 years in the Missouri House, and you saw a lot of stuff that happened in the Missouri House. But as we look forward into 2024, I don't know that I have ever seen a time going into the legislature where I would expect any less for our legislature to get done, if for no other reason than because it feels like half of them are running for other offices against people they're currently serving with. And I was curious, what's your expectation going into the new year?
Well, you know, I'm usually pretty optimistic about every beginning of every year that, you know, there'll be some things that'll get done. I know last year a lot of us were pessimistic, I guess, last year. And, you know, they did get a fair amount of things accomplished. But, you know, given the circumstances now, as you mentioned, you've got a major presidential election next year, you have you know, our statewide candidates, almost all of them are up for election, and you have a lot of open seats, and then you've got a lot of state Senate seats that are going to be open, and then some incumbent senators are being challenged, which is interesting, and also some House incumbents are being challenged. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a little crazy down in Jeff City this coming year.
So do you remember a time when you had that many people who were running for other offices while they're going into a session, or is it just this is me paying attention?
I think it's a combination of you paying attention and then this is kind of a little bit unusual. I don't recall since maybe when I guess Greitens ran for governor, where you had that many statewide office holders that were up for election. The last time it happened was almost 4 years ago. You had all incumbents that were running to retain their seats. And you had a few changes, in the AG's office. And then when the governor got to appoint a bunch of different people because of one person, Josh Hawley moving on, that created some chain reactions. But this will be kind of a new thing that hasn't happened in probably about 10 years.
Well, now you've got Josh Hawley, who's actually up for his U.S. Senate seat. That he's going to be running. You've got a governor, you've got a lieutenant governor, you've got all those statewide. But then
all of them except for the auditor. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's all the statewide, and then you throw in, half the senators, and of that, there's several of the incumbent ones that are being challenged.
So when you were getting ready to go into a new session, and you would sit down with the speaker and the leadership team, how did you guys go about putting together what were going to be your priorities as you go into session?
Well, normally that happens well in advance of the new session. We'll have our winter caucus meeting, and you'd sit down and kind of talk with the fellow Republican caucus members and just kind of get an idea as to what's on their minds, what's of interest. A lot you can tell by the number of bills that are filed in particular topics. So, like, for example, this year, right now, there's 690 House bills that have been pre-filed. And then on the House side, or on the Senate side, 556 Senate bills have been filed. So that's a pretty good clip of bills being filed. And now you can kind of go through those bills and kind of look and see which ones, where the common theme is. I always say it's like Groundhog Day because it seems like we always tackle the same issues every year. It never really changes. Few little nuances here and there, but that's probably what's going to happen next year. And quite honestly, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be filing bills just to get attention. And, those are ones that don't really have a chance of going anywhere, but they'll file them so they can get on the TV or get on the radio and talk about their bill just to get attention, because they're running for office.
I know a couple of those that have happened already, that people have already started having those conversations. But
yeah, their bills aren't going to go anywhere. They're not going to pass either chamber, but yet they file them just to get attention.
So I'm curious when you say it's Groundhog Day, and I agree with that because we see it a lot, especially in the legislature in Missouri. We have a lot of the same type of bills, the same subjects that keep coming up over and over and over year after year. Why is that? Why do we not seem to get a topic settled for a while?
I don't know what the real answer is to that, Mike, to be honest with you. I've kind of studied that whole concept of us, constantly tackling the same issues over and over again over years. I think part of it is it just takes a long time to pass certain types of legislation. And then, life happens. Things change. Circumstances change. And so you have to go back and redo things. And I will say this. I'll tell you an interesting story. When I was a young man helping my dad run for state senate back in 1990, back in the day when they had newspapers, you could actually go to the Missouri Press Association, and you could go in and you could file an advertisement with them, and then they would put it in all the newspapers in the state of Missouri, for one price, and it was really convenient. And when I was there, there was this old guy. He was sitting there, and he had a big old book full of advertisements going back to like the 40s and 50s.
Wow! And
I started flipping through them and looking at these old advertisements of old politicians that we all, Hearns and Carnahan and just old elected officials from back in the day. And it was funny because they were all talking about the same things. We want better roads. We want better schools. We want, it was just like, oh my gosh, they're repeating the same things over and over again. So this is not a new thing. Go back and look at all the history of politics, and they're typically talking about the same things that we're always concerned about.
Well, I realize that we're all going to worry about roads. We're all going to worry about schools because it's something that affects all of us. But has it always been the case, and I shouldn't say always, never use absolutes, correct? So it seems that we have been in a holding pattern, and I'll say for at least the last 3 years, where the House tends to get stuff done and get it passed, and then it goes to the Senate, and it just sort of sits there until the very last week, and then it's how much stuff can we shove through the window and get it out the door before time expires. Has it always been that way, or does it just feel that way lately?
Well, based on what I've talked to former legislators going back long before my time, it has not always been that way. Part of it has to do with term limits. Although I still believe in term limits, I think term limits has definitely hurt us in Missouri, because now the bureaucrats and the executive branch are really in control of the legislature. By the time you get in there long enough to start, understanding what's going on and being able to affect change, you're gone. You're term limited out. So I do think we're seeing the effects of term limits with regards to how government is operating, how the legislature operates. I mean, you can clearly see that the problems that we've been having recently in the House, especially in the House, were, some staffers and some folks, thought that they were in charge of the House and really ran the House for all intent and purposes behind the scenes. When the speaker decided that, he wanted to make a change, they didn't like that. And, I'm not a big person that talks about the swamp, but I will tell you, this is at the state level and at the federal level. It sure looks like there's a lot of bureaucrats and the administrative branch that are just running the show, and not Congress and not the state legislature.
With that being said, is there a reason why term limits have not been revisited? Because when I talk to a lot of state elected folks, they share that opinion. And it's something that we can see to where your Speaker of the House, you're going to get 2 years out of them, and then you're going to roll to a new speaker. So in terms of consistency, you really don't have a consistent flow of getting things done. And everybody that I've talked to pretty much agrees with that. Is there a reason why we don't go back and maybe change the year amount? Like right now, you can do 8 in the House and 8 in the Senate. Why not just make it 16 total, spend it how you want? But no one seems to be even trying to bring that up.
Because all the polling data and everything else, you go out on the street and you ask the average person, the average voter, are you for term limits? And they're going to say, yeah. You just can't get past that. It would take a tremendous amount of time and education and money to get people to understand that term limits, while I still believe in them, and actually I've argued what we should do is get rid of this regular term limits, but have term limits on leadership, so you can't have a person be Speaker of the House for 20 years or be in leadership positions. I think if you limit that, I think you'd have a better outcome than limiting the terms of members. But, I served 8 years. I think for me, 12 in the House probably would have been good, maybe 16. But I always say I probably wouldn't have been able to run for office if it hadn't been for term limits. So I don't necessarily disagree with term limits. I just think that they need to be a little bit longer, and you need to maybe have limits on leadership. I think if you do that, I think you'll accomplish the goal of getting, reasonable amount of turnover in the House and the Senate. And that's really the problem. Like you said, you're getting a new speaker every 2 years. It'd be like getting a new CEO of a company every 2 years, or a new principal, or a new. I mean, exactly. And it's just when you're in leadership, you have your staff, you have the people that you know and trust that help you execute the plan, and those people, a lot of them do stay there and manage to get a job the next person that moves up, but you do have turnover in the staffing too, because a lot of times they're not paid as well as they are in the private sector. And so that's the problem right now. Our legislature at the state level, although it's not near as bad as Congress, but Congress has just really become inept. and it's not as powerful as it needs to be in order to stop the madness. And the same thing at the state legislature level. I mean, you just have a legislature that's not as strong as it probably should be. It's stronger than Congress, but it's not as strong as it needs to be.
We're talking with John Wiemann, former Speaker Pro Temp of the Missouri House. But your full-time gig now is working at St. Charles Community College. I wanted to talk to you just for a couple of minutes that we have left here of everything that seems to be going on at St. Charles Community College. I think the last time that I talked to you was when we were doing the groundbreaking for your Wentzville campus of what's going to be going on. So you guys just have all kinds of things that are happening now across multiple campuses.
Yeah, I'm excited about the things that are happening with the college. I mean, it's a lot of it is because the citizens of St. Charles County voted to on the Proposition Community College tax and bond to give us additional monies to do that expansion. We were fortunate enough, the timing was right where we had some money from the state. The state, obviously the ARPA funds and some other federal funds to help us with this expansion into the kind of our workforce campus out in Wentzville. And they've started construction, and it's exciting that, you start seeing the dirt moved around, and hopefully the building, they'll start putting the foundation down here in the next maybe couple of weeks, that you'll start to see it physically, the building being built is when you kind of get really excited. But yeah, I mean, this is the future. I mean, we know that we have to change, and there's a lot of things that we're doing behind the scenes at the college to make it better and make it more responsive to the students and to the community. And so, Dr. Cavalier and her leadership team has been working pretty hard for the last couple of years to bring a lot of this stuff to fruition, and it's starting to bear fruit now.
Well, St. Charles Community College has a lot of exciting things, and I'm curious to see where that's going to go. I'm excited to see where that's going to go, and I appreciate you spending a couple minutes with us just to talk about, I know with your experience, it's good to get a non-biased opinion of what you're expecting to see in the legislature, and it sounds like we could still be hopeful that they may still get some stuff done, despite all of the infighting that I think we can pretty much expect.
Yeah, like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic, although most likely it's going to be similar to what kind of happened last year. I think they'll get a few bills that need to get passed through the House and the Senate. But ultimately, the number one thing that the legislature has to do is pass a balanced budget. And I'm pretty confident they're going to do that.
Well, go and do no harm, I guess it'd be where we kind of end up. Well, John, I appreciate you taking the time. I hope your New Year's works out fantastic for you and the family, and I will see you next year.
You too, Mike. Enjoy being on the show. Thanks.
Appreciate the time. Matt Pauley is going to join us on the other side. This is my favorite time of year when it comes to football because it is bowl game, bowl game, bowl game. There's like 12 of them on today. That may be an exaggeration, but there's a lot. So we're going to talk to Matt Pauley, what's going on in the sports world. On the other side, it's Mike Elam in for Annie Frey today at 97.1 FM Talk.
Podcast that made you say, wow, they really said that? Risk is the show where people tell true stories they never thought they'd dare to share. Listeners say the show makes them burst out laughing and crying, good crying. Some say it saved their lives. Surprising honesty, the most jaw-dropping moments that are stranger than fiction. Think you've heard it all? Wait till you hear Risk. Available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Mark Cox here. Do you need to sell your home, but you need time to find your next home or to build that new construction home you've only been dreaming about? Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, St. Louis real estate expert, has a program for you. Gloria understands that those two issues keep would-be home sellers from moving into their dream home. So Gloria's developed her Sell and Stay program that allows you to sell, get your cash, and stay in the home for up to 12 months. Gloria's Sell and Stay program takes the pressure off. It gives you time to find your next home. Plus, now that you have the cash from your current home, it gives you leverage when negotiating your next home. It's a great solution to help get some of our listeners unstuck and moving. If that sounds like you, call the one I trust at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Join Mosby Building Arts every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 FM. Rich Orse and guests give insider tips about renovations, design, construction, exteriors, and more. Tune in to Right at Home with Rich on Saturdays or catch the podcast online.
Hi, this is Jeff Singer with Goldblatt Singer, Attorneys at Law. On behalf of everyone at Goldblatt Singer, happy holidays. Take care out there, and remember, if you need help, Goldblatt Singer is just a phone call away.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Winter is here. Make sure your furnace is ready to safely heat your home when cold weather arrives. Get in your comfort zone with a heating system check. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
We've gone out a few times. You ready to put a ring on it? Download the Odyssey app and listen to 97.1 FM Talk on your phone or by telling your smart speaker to play it. This is St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
It's the day after Christmas, and all through the station, people are chatting about what a horrible cold Annie Frey has today. So thanks, David, for talking about that. Sounds like Annie has a cold. And Annie looks a little rough today. Ouch! Ouch! Annie looks a little rough today.
Brad does too.
You know, and I will give you, when Annie is on. Like, she is ta-da when she sits down here to do this. She is.
Yes.
And I sit down, it's like, yeah, we had to go wide-angle camera to get all of the Mike Elam in, because you could do a narrow camera with Annie and she will fit, but it takes a wider angle to get all this in. We had a lot of food yesterday, so, you know, you had to go big. So appreciate the shot there, David. It's always good. Annie Frey listeners are always fun. Hey, another person who's always fun is Matt Pauley. He is the KMO Experts Open Line host. Matt, how are you, sir?
I am good. Thanks for having me on.
Matt, it's always good to talk to you. It's whether it's in the hallway or on the radio, it's always good to catch you. So I appreciate the time that you're giving us today. You are always on top of everything. I guess that's your job, right? To always be on top of everything happening with sports. I want to talk to you about national championship, Mizzou game that's coming up on Friday, Cotton Bowl. But I wanted to kind of start with, because Cardinals seems to be your thing that you do on a regular basis when you were the studio host for the radio network. Have you been surprised with the off-season moves so far, or did you expect more?
I wouldn't say surprised. If you listen to John Mozeliak talk, he told you what he was going to do. He was going to go get 3 starting pitchers, and he's done that. If you listen to him talk, he told you he wanted to trade Tyler O'Neill. He did that. So I don't think surprise is the right word. Now, would you like to see a little bit more get done? Would you like to have seen another starting pitcher? Would you like to see a lot more work done to the bullpen? Yeah, absolutely. But there's still a lot of time left in the offseason. So he's done the things that he said he was going to do. So therefore, I don't think there's any surprise to that.
Do you have expectations that we should expect more to get done?
Yeah, I do. In the bullpen, I absolutely do. And I'm a little less optimistic right now than maybe I was a couple weeks ago on what that's going to look like, because I want to see them bring in a couple guys who you can trust in the 7th and the 8th and the 9th innings. Even if Ryan Helsley's a closer, he's not going to be closing out every game. He's a guy that throughout his career he's not been available, whether it was due to injury or whether it was due to not pitching back-to-back days or pitching 2 out of 3 days, those type of situations. So I keep saying you go back to last season, and as rough as the starting pitching was, the bullpen was the bigger issue because of how many leads that they ended up blowing. Now, it is also connected to each other because you didn't get very good starting pitching, and that ended up impacting the amount of usage for your bullpen. I don't think the bullpen performed quite as well. But I'm not super comfortable with the way the bullpen is built right now. I think they've got to go out and get a guy or two that's got some experience, that's been around for a while, maybe at one point in their career was a closer, isn't afraid of the 9th inning. It takes a different kind of guy to get those final 3 outs. The outs number 25, 26, and 27, those are different feeling outs in close games, and you just got to have the right guys to do that. And if Ryan Helsley isn't available, as good as JoJo Romero was, as much hope as there is about Giovanni Gallegos getting back to who he previously was, that's the area. I'm just babbling on at this point because I want to see them add to the back of the bullpen.
Are you surprised at the amount of money that is getting thrown around at other teams, not necessarily the Cardinals, but I mean, you're seeing we've got a $700 million contract that just got thrown down. Is any of this ever going to stop, or do you see it's just going to be feast for these teams like Dodgers and those who have the big budgets, and the rest of us are just going to play for second place?
Well, the top-tier teams are always going to spend a lot of money, but I don't think spending is actually down a little bit. And I'm not trying to poo-poo a $700 million contract, but so much of that money is being deferred. It's actually being valued at about $490 million. Again, that's a lot of money, but it's not a $700 million contract because of what the value of the money right now actually is, and the value of it right now is at about $490 million. The only one that actually kind of bothered me a little bit was the contract that Yamamoto got with the Dodgers, because he's never thrown a pitch in Major League Baseball, and he just signed the largest contract ever for a pitcher in the history of Major League Baseball. Wow. Like Ohtani, he's gonna make the Dodgers that money back. He's worth every penny of that contract from both a performance standpoint and from what he's going to do for the Dodgers. Ticket sales, endorsements, the attraction from other countries looking in. I think it's clear that Ohtani's worth that money. But the Yamamoto contract, I'm a big Yamamoto guy. I think he's going to be really, really good. I think all his numbers in Japan show that he's got the opportunity to be a very good pitcher in Major League Baseball. But it does irk me a little bit when he's getting the largest contract in the history of baseball without ever throwing a pitch in Major League Baseball. So, again, we talk about these big numbers and everything. A lot of teams are kind of they're not spending as much money right now. We're in this weird period with teams not really knowing what's going on with regional sports networks, and there are teams that are definitely going into salary dumps right now. We're seeing that a bit with the Padres. We're seeing that with the Twins. There's some other teams out there as well. But look, if just from a surface level standpoint, you look at the money that's being thrown around right now and kind of what the headlines are, it's very, very noticeable.
It is. Well, and that's why I have guys like you on to help me make sense. They go, hey, there's some big ones, but those are the one-offs, right? A lot of other things are different.
If I can say one more thing, too, if you don't mind. The Ohtani deal, so he deferred like $680 million of the $700 million. He is the only guy in baseball who can do that because he makes more money in endorsements per year than he makes in salary. He makes better than $30 million endorsements. Second on that list, depending on what list you're looking at, it's either Aaron Judge or Mike Trout Judge and Trout make between $4 and $6 million per year in endorsements. So think about that. Ohtani's somewhere between $30 and $40 million per year in endorsements. Number 2 is Judge or Trout at 4 to 6. So he's living in a different world when it comes to what he can do in terms of deferred money compared to every other player walking the face of the earth.
That is crazy. That's getting to Michael Jordan type numbers.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, I want to switch gears on you real quick because I've only got a couple of minutes left. I want to talk football. So I saw the Mizzou game is happening Friday night, right? So
yes.
Playing in the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State, it seems like, from what I'm seeing, like up to 20 players with Ohio State may not play in that game. Is that still true?
Yeah, a lot of, including their starting quarterback, who's already transferred out of the program. It's and they're back favored, by the way. Missouri had been favored for a while. When the game was first announced, Ohio State was the favorite. The line shifted to Missouri. It has now shifted back to Ohio State, but it's a 1-point spread, so it's essentially a pick 'em at this point.
Why did it switch back to Ohio State?
I'm sure it was just a reaction to betting. That's how the sports books want to make sure that they're getting about half of the betting public to bet on one side and half of the betting public to bet on the other side. That's what people think a point spread is, the expected, somebody's going to win by 2 points. In definition it is, but really what a point spread is a sports book's ability to try to get half the public on one side and half the public on the other side, because the book always wins if you're getting 50% of the bet. So I would assume the betting public started going heavy on Ohio State, and that accounted for the 2-point swing. But I'm not a big sports gambling guy, so that's I don't know that for sure.
I have a friend of mine who says, can the legislature please get sports betting passed in Missouri? I want this so much. I'm like, I'm too cheap to bet. So I'm more of, we bet for bragging rights more than we do dollars. But I wanted to ask you about the season that Mizzou had on the field really seems to have translated to their recruiting efforts. And they seem to be recruiting a much better team because of putting those wins on. Is winning the Cotton Bowl going to make a lot of difference, or is it just the fact that they got to the Cotton Bowl already giving them the win?
Yeah, I think they've already got all the momentum that they need. I'm not trying to be let's be very clear. Winning the Cotton Bowl, beating Ohio State, having an 11-win season, all of those things are fantastic accomplishments. They should not be poo-pooed whatsoever, and I really hope that Missouri wins this game. But when it comes to specifically recruiting, I don't think that that's going to have much of an impact. And I would actually Eli Drinkwitz has recruited at a high level. Now, he has not gotten those high-level recruits up until this year to play at that high level, really. But this year it all came together. But that man is one heck of a recruiter, and he's got a staff that recruits well. I think they've got all the momentum that they need. And when it comes specifically towards recruiting and performance next season and years moving forward, I really don't think the result of this bowl game is going to impact much.
I didn't know that he had the crap-talking game, to rephrase it, as much as he does, until I started seeing what he's done out of state, where he'll recruit a big player out of state, and he's buying billboards in their hometown that puts them up with Mizzou right there. I'm like, wow, he did it in Arkansas. He did it in Tennessee. I mean, what a smack in the face to those states that he went in. It's like, I am unapologetically going to throw the gauntlet down and just throw it in your face.
Look, that's what you have to do if you're at a place like Missouri. You don't have to do that if you're at Alabama or LSU or Clemson or, places like that. But Missouri, if they want to, they would be in the college football playoff if the college football playoff had already expanded this year. If we're talking about Missouri as being a team that can legitimately be contending for a spot in the expanded college football playoff, then you can't just kind of go recruit the way everybody else recruits. You got to have a little bit of bravado to you, and Drink's got a lot of that.
He definitely does. It was pretty funny. I saw those billboards pop up on social media. I'm like, he did what? Like, wow. Okay, so he is throwing it down. What a difference a season makes, right? Because I remember last year, a bunch of Mizzou fans at the end of the year were talking about, we need to get rid of this guy. He doesn't win. He doesn't have winning seasons. Like, why do we even have this guy? And then all of a sudden, boom, it all comes together. It just takes a while to put the pieces together. And then all of a sudden, you can be great. And so is Matt Pauley. So I appreciate you taking some time, especially when you didn't have to, especially last minute, to come on and talk sports with me for a little bit today on the Annie Frey Show.
Anytime. I always enjoy chatting with you.
That is Matt Pauley. You can catch him on Sports Open Line on KMOX. He's also the studio host for the Cardinals Radio Network, and always a good guy just to have a conversation with. We are going to wrap this up with a conversation with Ryan Wiggins on the other side. Hey, your YouTube live chat poll, you still got time to weigh in on that. Does a third-party candidate stand a chance in the 2024 election? Yes or no? Go on to the YouTube live chat poll, get your votes in, and we will do all the totals on that on the other side. It's the Annie Frey Show. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie Frey today, even though I am a much rougher-looking Annie Frey, according to David, on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
It's winter. Let's talk about garage doors. Your garage doors. Is it loud? Letting cold air in around the frame? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis will make it all better. For just 2 weeks, they're providing their full 26-task garage door tune-up for just $69. That's just $69 for up to 3 garage doors and openers. You need this done for winter, so why not now? And for just $69. Schedule now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
While no child should have to spend the holidays in the hospital, there are many at SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital who will not be able to experience the joy of opening gifts around their tree. Please join 97.1 FM Talk and give the gift of hope and healing to Cardinal Glennon kids and support the Tree of Hope year-end giving campaign. Your gift ensures these brave patients can continue to receive the critical care they need during these challenging times. Thank you for giving at treeofhope.org.
Congratulations to St. Louis Fashion Fund on its 10th anniversary. The fund, a nonprofit and leading voice for St. Louis fashion, represents 800 businesses, as well as supports students, designers, emerging and established brands that collectively generate fashion's $3.3 billion annually to our region. Their year-long celebration will spotlight 10 fashion events to amplify why fashion is so important to the fabric of our community. To learn more about Fashion Fund's 10 for the 10th, visit stlouisfashionfund.org.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. This holiday season, invest in some LED Christmas lights. They use significantly less energy than regular bulbs. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
We're a week away from 2024. Our question for you today is, does a third party have a chance in the 2024 election? Can you believe we're that close to 2024? This is the big year. The one we've been talking about for 4 years. It's coming up. Does a third party have a chance in the 2024 election? Let us know what you think. It's a simple yes or no. We'll give you the results of that here in just a couple minutes. It's 2:43 right now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Happy Wednesday. It's Mark Reardon. We now have some answers to the questions over the cop car hitting the gay bar in South St. Louis, but the ridiculous overreaction, in particular our mayor's, is more than comical. I'm going to cover it coming up.
Some people say a man is made out of mud.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Muscle and blood and skin and bones. A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons.
It's the Annie Frey Show, day after Christmas. Getting ready to put the final touches on this one. Ryan Wiggins has stepped back into the studio.
Hello. Hello again.
Good to have you back.
Thank you very much.
So I haven't heard this Rolo thing.
So we played it Friday.
Okay.
But it's only played on the radio one time. We did not end up putting it in the Christmas special because we were basically done with it by the time we had this finished.
Okay.
So this has only been on the air one time, so I don't fault you for not hearing it.
It's a one time only.
And I am going to, a little plug here,
Okay.
this weekend for my show, I'm going to do a best of the bits, all the skits and bits that we've done throughout the year, both on my show and some on this show. I'm playing those all this weekend. So,
and what time can we catch that?
6 to 8 a.m. on Saturday.
Okay.
5 to 7 p.m. on Sunday. And if you don't tune in during those times or you don't hear the whole thing and you want to hear all of them packed into one show, get the podcast. It's a very easy way to hear all the stuff we've done this year. So this is going to be one of them, though.
Hey,
because
I made the year.
It's funny, and I want to tell the story of how this came about after we play it, because I thought it was very funny. You were hosting the Mark Reardon show,
yes,
at the time,
yes,
and some conversations that we were having long distance while you were basically on the air trying to get this done. So I'm going to play it. Leah is also on this. I am as well. So is Brad and Trisha.
It's a family affair.
Everybody had some lines, and I didn't. So I was not around for the recording of any of this. You did your own lines. Leah did her own lines. Brad did his lines. I don't think that I hid. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll hide the other person's lines so that you will only see yours, and Leah, you'd only see yours. I didn't do that this time, but my understanding is when Brad went in to record these with Leah and Trisha, that he did not give them any context. And so you've never heard it.
Nope.
Leah's heard it once. It's called Put a Rolo on It. So for the day after Christmas, still some good advice if you have Christmas parties. Here we go.
If you're headed out to a Christmas party and you don't know what to bring, remember this simple advice. Put a Rolo on it. Take anything you've got and put a Rolo on it for the easiest dessert imaginable.
A pretzel?
Put a Rolo on it.
A cornflake?
Put a Rolo on it.
What about a chip?
Put a Rolo on it.
Toast, maybe?
Put a Rolo on it. A Rolo is a dessert by itself. That's what's so great about put a Rolo on it. You're not really doing that much.
But you do have to unwrap each individual Rolo.
That's not that hard.
So I could just unwrap Rolos and put them on a platter? That's technically putting them on something.
Yes. Now, if you want to get really fancy, then put an M&M on the Rolo.
That's brilliant.
Yes, it is, because it's just candy. But you still get credit for making something. So take my advice and put a Rolo on it.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You mix that up. That's different than what the script is.
I think so. Yeah, you do that a lot.
Because you went back in, it had, on my script, it had all the individual comments together. Yes. And then you went back and you took put a Rolo on it.
Different versions of you yelling, put a Rolo on it. Put a Rolo on it.
So what's the backstory that you want to tell about that?
Well, I just thought it was funny because I had this idea kicking around for that script, or put a Hershey's Kiss on or whatever, because it just cracks me up when I go to parties. I love these things. I'll sit there and eat 40 of these things if they'll let me. But it's basically because I just like candy. I don't care. You could also just put M&Ms out, and I would do the same thing. And the Rolo thing, though, always makes me laugh because they're presented as a dessert. Look what I've made.
It's a piece of candy.
But really, people just like eating it because they like eating Rolos.
Exactly. It's chocolate and caramel. It's
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there are a lot of varieties of those types of things. They're all good. I don't blame you for doing it, but it is kind of cheap for a dessert.
Very much.
And so I've thought that for years, and at the last second, I'm like, I need to do something with that. I think I could make something out of that everybody would identify with. So I started writing the script in my head, and then it's, getting close to Friday. And Friday on this show, if you don't know, is really, really busy for me personally because of X's and O's.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Because I'm also prepping my own weekend show. Friday, Monday, it's like a gradient. Monday is my least busy day, and then Friday is 50% of my job happens on Friday. So the rest of everything happens Thursday and before. So I'm getting really close to the deadline. I'm like, man, I just don't know if I'm have time to do this. But you happen to be hosting the Mark Reardon show
on Thursday.
Oh, and a little more context. Trisha happened to bring in that exact dessert on Wednesday. Did not know that I was already working on this in my head. And I'm like, well, that solidifies it. I'm writing this thing and we're doing it now.
It's a sign.
I can make Trisha be in it, and she has a personal vendetta against me, of course, now. But what she said was, when I told her I'm writing this thing, she goes, it is a lot of work, though. You do have to unwrap them. And I'm like, that's a line in the thing now. So
it is a lot of work. I mean, I have to unwrap the candy.
So as I'm writing, and I do this with all kinds of stuff, not just that I write here, because I write like crazy all the time. If I'm writing a script for some other purpose, I usually try to picture a person in that role. The whole time I'm writing this, I'm writing it with you in mind. I don't know why. I'm just like, this is a Mike Elam script.
I love that.
Had no idea whether you were going to be here or whether I was going to have to text you and see if you could find a studio somewhere.
I have
or
one at
come in.
home.
Well, then that would have worked.
So,
but you
yeah.
happened to be here.
Which made it really easy, and we did it in between breaks.
So I gave you the script on Thursday as I was coming in here because or was it Friday? No, Thursday.
It was Thursday.
And you were hosting Mark Reardon's show Thursday. Well, then when you're hosting that show and I'm on this show, we don't really see a lot of each other.
Right.
Because I'm on 3 hours, then you're on, and we just don't cross a lot of paths other than just in the hallway.
Exactly.
So, but not enough to have a conversation, explain like, okay, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I had to give it to Abby, who had to then tell you this is what this is. And then I left and you're on. So I'm telling you now, am getting calls from Mike Elam in commercial breaks while he's hosting Mark Reardon's show.
Right.
And I'm on my way home, and then you called me like a half hour later. You're like, okay, I did a take, but this is what I did. And now I'm in Walmart, like shopping for Christmas, and you go, tell me how to read this thing. Like, do a version of it. And I'm like, Mike, I'm in Walmart in the checkout.
It's okay.
And you're like, I don't care.
They'd love to hear.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I'm like, okay, Mike, do it like this. Put a Rolo on. Try to be quiet. Put a Rolo on it. And you're like, that's not helping me. You're whispering.
Well, and to give people some context, so if you're a voiceover person and you do voiceovers for a living, or you do them as a side hustle like I do, so a lot of times people write scripts like Ryan's talking about, and they'll give you a script. But if you're the person who has to voice it, it really helps if you know, how did you hear this in your head, right? And I had a director at one point tell me, sound like a doctor.
Okay. Not for this.
No, but for a piece of copy. And they gave me, and I said, so how did you hear this in your head? And they said, I really want you to sound like a doctor. What this person didn't understand was the last doctor that I had just seen was a doctor who said, thank you for coming in today, Mr. Elam. We are going to be going to this type of procedure today for you.
Yeah, an accent.
And I'm like,
that's what he wanted.
That was my frame of reference when he said, sound like a doctor. And I'm like, I'm going to guess that's not what's in your head. So I started asking a few more questions. But direction matters, right?
Yeah, it does, because I really screwed up, which is why you had to call me.
Well,
because I wrote on the script, okay, Mike, sound like you are an idiot and you don't care about anything.
Yeah, sounding like an idiot, my wife will tell you, is an easy one, right? And not caring, but I'm like, does that mean put a Rolo on it? It's a candy. It's really not that hard. Just put a Rolo on it.
And I said, no, exact opposite.
Right.
Full energy, complete.
Which is where you get to where you heard.
So that's where we got to that.
I love what you did with it. I thought it was really funny when I read the script, and I think it sounds even better.
So follow-up story that I did not tell on Friday. Now
tell it quickly, because we have literally 3 minutes.
My family did not hear that, and then I'm at a Christmas Eve party with my family, and a friend goes, or it's my cousin, she goes, oh, man, I should have brought some of those Rolo things. She goes, they're so darn easy, except that you have to unwrap them. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe it. I can't believe you're saying this in my presence.
Had she heard it?
She had not known anything about it. She did not know, and she confirmed what Trisha had said, that they are the unwrapping is the hardest part of making them.
The unwrapping is a real hassle.
Yeah.
You know, if I could just have these without the wrapper, that would be awesome.
I'd probably eat them with the wrapper if it came down to it.
They're pretty good. Hey, before we get out today, though, we do have a live chat poll that we want to get the results, and that is, does a third party have a chance in the 2024 election? Yes or no? Ryan and I have both weighed in on this one earlier today, and we've both pretty much come to the same conclusion. They've got a better chance than they've probably ever had, but they still don't really have a chance to win this. Did I recap your feelings?
I think so. Yeah, I said they have a better chance than they usually do, and the answer is still no.
Yes. Leah, where did you come down in this?
No.
No.
Yeah.
That was well put.
Yes.
Way to put some backstory into that
you.
one.
We've
That was
got
good.
uniform opinions, which
Yes.
a lot of times doesn't always translate to the poll, but I have a feeling in this one we're going to see a lot of no's.
So what do our poll results look like on this?
So that means that either Leah or I am going to pull it up as we speak, right? Do you have it?
I don't.
Okay,
Ryan,
I'll
do
pull it up.
it.
Annie Frey. Because if I pull it up the other way, I don't want to see the results until the end. So this is a way to not do that. So, okay.
It's the backstory of how polls work.
And now we're going to sit through an ad. All right. So the results of the poll, any guesses? Like, give me a guess of what you think, how many people said no.
I'm going to guess 82% said no.
75.
Mike wins.
Okay.
Hey!
It was 86% say no, but that means that 14% of our audience believes that a third party does have a chance, which says something in and of itself, because if 14% of the people listening just to the Annie Frey show think that maybe there's a shot for a third party candidate, you might see a larger percentage of America voting for a third party candidate.
I'm going to guess that 14% are answering that with their heart, not their head.
That's possible.
I'm going to say that because I am with the Annie Frey folks, and we're 57-50, right?
Yes.
So I'm with the Annie Frey folks in saying that this cast here, you guys are DeSantis people.
I'm not.
Oh.
But Brad and Ant, well, you know what? They're whoever the nominee is, people, but they tend to lean in the primary.
I'm going to be whoever the nominee is as well.
Yeah.
And I think the nominee is Donald Trump. I think Trump's going to win this.
I do too.
I do think DeSantis will make a great president one day. It's not going to be next year unless something off the charts happens. But I think he would be great. But I just don't see anybody beating Donald Trump with the way things are going. And I'm actually good with that. I mean, 4 years under Trump was fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to being back here tomorrow.
Yep.
Ryan's going to be back here tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Leah's going to be back here tomorrow, feeling even more confident than she did
Great
today.
job today.
Thank you.
Congrats to Drew. No one busted in the studio today except for Tricia, and I understand why. But beyond that, everybody else was secure. I will see you tomorrow. Mark Reardon is coming up next because he is a very hardworking man. It's going to be a great show. My name is Mike Elam. I appreciate spending some time with you on 97.1 FM Talk.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds